All right. Here, you can go ahead and show us at 6:30, Paula. And we'll go ahead and get started with roll call. Can you please take care of that?
District 1 Alderman Gallagher.
Present.
District 2 Alderman Rodriguez.
Present.
District 4 Alderman Mike Rodriguez.
Here.
District 5 Alderman Charles Tate.
Here.
District 3 Dick Emery Sessions.
Please take note of that. Appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please rise and we'll go ahead and take care of Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and continue on and move into item number 4, citizens to be heard. The opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the city council on any issue or any item on the agenda in compliance with LGC section 551.007. City council may not discuss or present any issue, nor may take any action be taken at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. Attorney General Opinion, JC-0169. Do we have any citizens to be heard? Going once. Do we have any men?
Yes, there are some just to be able
Going twice. All right, 3 times. You can make annotations, no citizens to be heard. And we're going to go ahead and move on to another special great thing that we're going to take care of. And oh, there he is. Okay. Just want to make sure we're choosing.
Well, this darn chair, it's like I'm sleeping. I could fall
Like,
asleep.
he's hiding his bag over there. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 5, presentation of the police chief accommodation to 3 police officers. You gonna do all 3 at the same time, or
No,
one?
I better, Stuart Rogers out on a fire, so he's probably a couple minutes behind, so I'll start with David, and then David and Lewis.
You got it. You got it.
So, every now and then, not as often as I should, we try to highlight officers, and several things transpired kind of quickly, so I want to go ahead and, recognize those guys for some. I'll start with, let me see here. Let's start with David Lopez. Dave, you come up for a moment here. So, about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, another officer from another agency was over. We was talking about how they were trading their handguns and some old firearms, and David took interest in this. Something Matt and I've been talking about doing for 20 years, but we just hadn't got around to it. So we traded in a bunch of old firearms, some from as far back as in the 1980s that the city owned, some old shotguns that they probably really bought from like Sears and Roebuck. That's the kind. So that and some handguns we bought in the 80s, the 2000s and late 90s when I became chief. So we were able to trade in 47 firearms, of course, and then David working with Matt, we had to do all the research on serial numbers, all the research and get the council to approve it and all that. We traded in 47 firearms. We got 14 brand new Glock 9mm with optical sights. So all in all, we got a total value of $12,000 worth of items that we're not going to have to budget for because we need to replace our handguns. They were over 20 years old. So thanks to David doing that. And we actually have a credit of $8 at GT's in Austin. So I'm going to have to drive up there and find something for $8. But, anyway, so it's a great deal because, again, we got rid of a lot of surplus property that we didn't need, didn't want. Some of the guns had been seized and awarded to the department by the court. So we were, which is purpose that was, is to put it back into good use. So we got that done. So that's what David, commend David for doing that. Great job. It's not too formal looking here, but I didn't have any of those little things, but we'll get it all goes. And again, that's more of something administrative in nature, but it's a huge impact. It's a huge impact on us not having to budget $12,000, out of taxpayer money, which, I live here too, so we can save a little money, yay. Okay, so, I'll get you back up here with Lewis, why don't you do Roger real quick. That's all Roger did. Roger, so Officer Garcia, back in July, we look at a lot of different things here. One thing we're always we're trying to keep the criminals out of town. I mean, that's really what our goal is. So Roger's on night shift and very proactive, and he's out on patrol. He's doing a building check around midnight at the taxidermy place, so Trophy Buck. He sees a vehicle parked way back there in the corner where it shouldn't be by the Big Tex trailers, which is a target-rich environment. I mean, that's a great place. Everybody loves stealing trailers. And he springs into action. He makes 3 arrests for a felony theft in progress. They were in the process of loading these tires and wheels in the back of a vehicle. Sergeant Hess came out and assisted. One of them also had dope on them. So great deal. We want these criminals to know that the Lyle Police Department, our night shift guys are not sleeping. That's my job on day shift, but the night shift guys, they don't sleep. Okay, thank you, Roger, so much for that. And we got another officer who I'll recognize in the future who just this weekend stopped burglary at a mini storage in progress. He pounced on a burglar breaking into a mini storage. So we're very, very happy with the outcome of our night. Next one, Officer Luis Diaz and Sergeant Lopez, I'll bring them up here. This is a fresh event. It just happened a week ago. It was last Monday. We were at the school handing out knickknacks, and Officer Diaz went to a disturbance, dispatched to disturbance. Sergeant Lopez backed him up while I was sitting there eating candy and stuff from the
Convocation.
Yeah, it's a convocation. Yeah, the convocation. I was eating candy, and they were out on this deal. So they arrive on scene to this residence here in town. It's obviously a pretty critical domestic type mental health crisis situation. A person's barricaded themselves in a house while they're outside. Of course, I've reviewed this video. A gunshot is heard. I mean, this is the real deal. This is the real deal. And these guys sprang into action. They forced themselves, the homeowner was outside. They forced themselves into the house. They confronted a person in mental health crisis that was armed with a handgun. There were 2 potential victims in the house, one a disabled adult male and an adult female. Very, very dynamic, quick moving situation. And these officers used extreme restraint and their training, everything just fell in place. They were able to use a less lethal weapon to bring this, to get the suspect, to, get the weapon out of control of the suspect, to recover the weapon, and that person was taken in for a mental health evaluation. There's more to the story, but that's the short part of it. That situation could have easily resulted in the death or injury of an officer or numerous people at the scene had we not had these officers. So I'm really proud that, we send these guys off to training all over the place. We spend a lot of money, and there's a reason for that, because when something happens, we need people that are, that can make those split decisions, So they did a great job, and everything ended better than it could have. If I went into too much details, I'd probably start crying, because I get scared thinking about it, what they were facing, and it was really it's just unbelievable how well they did. So that's David's. I get the sheet protector back. We got to reuse that.
Is Roger still here?
Is Roger Lee? Oh, he's not there.
You want the council picture, bring him in? And
Yeah, we can do that. Whatever you got. Let's get that. Can you get Roger, please? Get him in there. Yes.
Stand right here.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'll do Roger back.
Yep, he's coming.
Okay, good. I know he kind of was running a little late there, so we wanted to probably.
Come on over, sir. Perfect timing. Yeah, Richie.
No, don't get me, get them.
No, you need to get in here.
Well, I mean,
Please.
where are you going now?
So I just got off a fire call.
Yeah, I told him, don't come smelling like smoke down here.
All right, here you go.
Happy barbecue.
All right, now. Thank you so much, PD. Appreciate everything you guys do. These are the ones that we hear about. There's so many other instances that you guys go out there and you take care of. Ryan, thank you for everything that you do too. We appreciate it. You guys do a lot of stuff and just take care of our city. So, thank you, Richie, for taking the time and being able to do that.
The key there is that the officers, routinely do stuff, and I don't, and all the guys I've got are normally, they're not really, when I even told them, I was, no, you don't do that, but, this is the kind of people we have that come out here and they do stuff like this a lot, and we don't recognize every single thing they do because it comes with the territory, but it is, we are blessed that we have, have these people.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Council, item number 6, consent agenda. A, consider the approval of the minutes. We're looking at July the 10th, 2023, and July the 24th, 2023.
Mayor, I'd like to start on making a motion to approve the minutes for July 10th, 2023 as presented.
Okay, got a motion for the July the 10th?
I'll second.
You have a second? Okay. Any discussion on these? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much, appreciate it. So we'll go ahead and move on to July the 24th, 2023.
Mayor, I'd also like to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented for July the 24th, 2023.
Got a motion on the floor? Second that, Aaron. We got a second? Okay. All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Appreciate it. And let's go ahead and move on to B, consider the approval of payment of bills.
Do we have bills?
We're gonna present them, she didn't have that much for this time around, so we're gonna do them at the next meeting.
Okay.
She only got like 8,000, so
Okay, so we don't have anything for the bills on this one.
we're still in this.
So we have no action taken on that one. Since it's on the agenda, council, can I get a motion for us to just go ahead and table this?
Go ahead.
I'm moving to table this item to the next meeting.
Okay, got a motion on,
I'll second.
got a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, appreciate it. Table to the next one. All right, let's go ahead and move on into the open session. Item number 7, take action on the items discussed. Let's go ahead and jump into A, consider and act upon the city's donation of the hotel motel tax revenue to the Lido VFW in the amount of $10,000. Mayor Clausen. Okay.
Sir, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come before you on behalf of the Lido VFW and in support of my other comrades and our daughter here tonight. My request before you is the approval of $10,000 for the city hotel tax to fund, the hotel tax to fund and to directly promote the convention and hotel industry. Tourism is defined under Texas law as guiding or managing individuals who are traveling to a different city, county, state, or country. A direct promotion of the convention and hotel industry has been consistently interpreted by Texas Attorney General as a program, event, or facility likely to cause increased hotel or convention activity. The Lido VFW is already not even open yet in its new location, and we've already started putting people in hotels. Just past July 19th, we put 10 heads into hotels over 2 nights. One of the 9 rules for they're allowed the use of hotel tax. One of them is expenditures that promote the arts, and the other is funding certain expenses, including promotional expenses directly related to sporting events within counties of population of under 1 million. So back to the promotion of arts, which ties to our second, they both tie together. This section authorizes the expenditure of local hotel occupancy tax for a variety of art-related programs and also promote tourism to a local hotel and convention activity. Specifically, it allows funding for the encouragement, promotion, improvement, and application of the arts, including instrumental and vocal music. The VFW plans to meet this requirement by hosting several events throughout the year that will include the promotion of local musicians from Lytle and the surrounding areas. These events are directly tied to our the second approved use of hotel tax, which is a sporting event within counties with populations of under $1 million, or under 1 million people. The state of Texas VFW is on a mission to promote cornhole tournaments for its youth. The VFW in Lytle would like to build a cornhole field with proper lighting that will allow us to host cornhole tournaments for our youth in the state of Texas, which will include bringing teams in from all over the state of Texas for tournaments, which will enable them to stay at the local hotel here in Lytle. Additionally, there's other applications for this same event that we will, same use of the local entertainment with other barbecue competitions and other events we had planned. And then again, I would also like to just throw out that, however, that it is important to note that events and facilities that do not qualify for hotel occupancy tax funding are also still legally eligible for city funding for most of other funding sources available to the city, generally property tax revenues, general sales tax revenues, franchise fees, revenues, etc. So that is my request to the city, and I think that we make 2 of the 9 requirements for use of hotel tax by creating a sporting event throughout the year and promoting local performing arts.
Appreciate it, Commander. Thank you for bringing that up. Staff, since we have to work closely with the VFW, is there any concerns, or council, any concerns that we need to talk about?
Mr. Derry, this money be granted prior to the events?
I think so. That's the way, I mean, they'd have to have money to operate, i.e. secure bands and stuff like that. The key, like I said, it's a 2-part rule. One does the event, put heads in beds, part 1. My only concern is it's a 1-day event, but people could potentially come in the day before and stay that night to attend the walk the next morning. So we can potentially check that off. And then he talked about the other secondary part. He met 2 of the 9 categories there. I just defer back to legal. I think it's probably close enough.
It can be done either, if your question was regarding the timing of the funding.
Right, because the presentation included a packet of throughout the year, the different events. Can we grant the amount?
Typically what would happen for these types of requests is the city, if they wanted to proceed with grant funding, is they award the grant on a reimbursement basis. So they award the grant initially, and then the grantee would then be eligible to seek reimbursement for eligible expenses up to the maximum amount of the grant. So in this case, for example, he's requested $10,000. So so the city could agree to grant up to $10,000, and then the VFW then could request, as they incur eligible expenses for the types of events that he's discussing, or others as they come along, that they can seek reimbursement for the city against that grant award. That's often how it's done, and so that way the city's assured that all of the monies are being used properly, and then so that kind of, and they also have some assurance that once they have the eligible expenses, they'll get reimbursement. So that's usually how a lot of cities start.
So some of the expenses we're looking at is one, building the cornhole pitch field, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what they call it, with the lighting, and then an area for the bands to play at as well. We've also have the Laredo Trail Riders Association, and we're also speaking to LASSO I know they're not sporting events, but those are also organizations that are coming in that will put heads in beds that are working with the VFW as well.
So my final question, Mr. Dare, would be, do you have the funds in the hot tax?
I believe it.
We have the funds in the hot tax, but there is a lot of legal verbiage with Austin, when I'm talking about the comptroller, on how I can handle this. So there's no way I can ever call this a donation. But like Jesse said, it can come from other sources and we can do reimbursements on it. But the word donation would be shot down very, very quickly. To improve a facility, even to like improve our park facility, is very, very touchy on how I can even approach that to turn into that funding. It would be something I'd have to sit down with Chris and go little by little to see what would be approvable and what would not.
So I think
Because this
improving
money
of
will be
a
provided.
facility is one that, if it brings to a convention or heads to beds, right, would be allowable.
There's a lot of, it's a very gray area, and but it's something I would want to submit to the comptroller, that I have the connections with to make sure, because it's just a gray area. And every city actually can be a little bit different based upon legislation, and there's a lot of different laws on there.
So for clarification, is this 10,000 for a whole year, or I thought this was for the event for the wall?
No, that's the next agenda.
Okay, then I misunderstood what this agenda was for. So the improvements, would those be done here at our park or at your facility?
At our facility.
So that's my next question. The facility is not set within the incorporated city limits of Lytle. Can we legally use
Yes.
hot money from here and extend them out into the
Yes,
county?
I've read the rules, it has nothing to do with city limits.
Yeah, that's
It says as
I
long
know
as
we
you
talked about it
bring,
before.
as long as you bring people to the hotel, to your local hotels, and it doesn't say anything about city limits.
Chris, do you have like a set time if you're looking at from this date to this date, just to kind of get an idea?
Well, we plan on opening September 2nd, the VFW, and so it just, we're just looking to make these improvements and upgrades to be able to start doing these things.
So based on what Jesse was saying, so we're looking at September to August of next year, that's what you're looking at?
That's a fair assessment, sir. We're also doing, speaking of performing arts, we're trying to bring in the local farmers market to have a permanent home here in the city, because I know they've been kicked around a lot. So myself and Ed Marson are working with them to bring them in. We're also gonna have bands in there to help maybe also bring in people, so we're trying a lot of things to bring in people to the city and promote, local media, musicians as well.
So, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to allow this to happen, but Jesse, how do we word this without using the word grant?
Can we do a contract through legal, have legal drop the contract?
I would suggest that, given that he's exploring various potential projects, to have the staff work with the VFW to identify the proposed projects, and then we can return at a future council meeting, and then we would then propose a grant agreement or something like that. We had a similar proposal several months ago from the chamber for that project where they were considered kind of a retail outlet at one point. So we've already drafted similar agreements like this, so the drafting would be pretty easy to do, but it's more of a kind of scoping, so that Lynette and the comptroller feel comfortable with the eligible projects, then we can properly describe those and put that in that document. So the motion could be to direct staff to work with VFW to do that, and then once they have it, we can come back to the council with that proposal. Would be my suggestion, so that would be.
Yeah, they use the word fund and funding instead of donation. It's fund and funding, so it's hotel tax funding or funds.
Correct. Correct, it would be for the proposed grant or funds that they would be providing.
So, Mayor, can I make a motion with regards to what's recommended by the attorney and have the city word the motion correctly? And that we meet this? Do we have to set a particular date?
If you would like them to come back at a particular time, that's up to the council.
Any suggestions?
How quick can we? I guess we just need to get exactly what y'all are looking to use the money for, and then Lynette needs to call her counterpart in Austin
And we
that
can
works for
work
hot
Smith
tax
however we need to work.
and them say, yes, that is a legal expenditure of hot tax funds. My only concern is if it's not,
Right.
we're required to pay that
Absolutely.
out of taxes.
And that's why we need to be careful how it's worded.
And it's, you
Just
know,
make sure it's working.
it was before, some of your parents, like, we couldn't even use the hot tax money to put in the lights we wanted to.
Right.
Or put new sidewalks in. Or it's so specific in what I can do and what I can't do, even though we use the park for the festival. And so it just, we have to make sure that everything's correct.
So can we meet back with this,
Can we just say the next available meeting? Can we just,
2 weeks?
Do it.
the first meeting in September?
no,
That's your motion.
no. But it's gonna be more than, I mean, we have one more meeting in August.
Right. So that'll give us almost a month.
Yeah. I think they're asking the beginning of September.
Right. But I wanna give
No,
the
let's,
city
we can
enough
take the
time.
time we need, let's get it right.
Yeah.
I'll work with that to get it right, so, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So make sure it's worded correctly in any agreement we do.
Yeah.
That way there is no way for somebody to come back and say, pay that money back.
Yeah, and then to meet back at the first meeting in
Yeah,
September.
because I mean, we don't have to start this in September, we can start this in October, November, but I just want it to be right.
Yes, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I make that motion
In September. Okay, so we're directing the staff to go ahead and work with the VFW. Go ahead and come up with an agreement by the first meeting in September. Is that correct? Good. All right. Got a motion on the floor? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, a second. Any further discussion?
I have a couple questions, Chris. So what are your projected numbers for attendance of cornhole tournaments?
There are 200 and some posts across the state of Texas. And the state of Texas VFW this is one of their number one initiatives this year is promoting cornhole tournament, cornhole teams for youth. So we want to be one of the first posts to actually start this and set this up and get it going. So this is a big initiative with Larry Sanders is now the state commander of Texas. So he's pushing this strong and so I don't have numbers, but it is, I can tell you it's a big initiative with the state of Texas right now. So, I can tell you, they started a barbecue competition this year and it's taken off. Ed and I are going in November to be judges in Houston for a statewide barbecue contest. And there's gonna be dozens of VFWs there and I expect the same thing to happen here with this, so.
So I think it would help in, finalizing these plans to have a firmer figure, right? Like as far as,
I will get numbers together, some rough numbers.
what expectations as far as people coming in. To follow up on that, talking about getting a new team going, are y'all planning on sponsoring a team?
Yes, we are. We're gonna sponsor a team as well.
You're not just gonna be dragging people off the street. Someone to win,
So-
get some training going on.
So at the music festival that the city put on this year, we met some kids out there. They were, I think, did you meet them? They were 12 and 11 years old maybe, and they were like second, third in the state of Texas. Yeah, second, third in the state of Texas. They live right here in our community, so we are looking to sponsor this kind of event and put on that kind of show here in Lytle and bring them in, so.
Oh, yeah, like I said, if we're gonna have a team, I want us to win, I want us to be
Absolutely.
state champs. right? I want us to be,
Finally, state champions.
state champs, yeah.
Absolutely.
We talked about the heads and beds thing too, right? So I don't know how many folks. My thing is, if we're gonna be bringing people in, that they're staying more than one night. It's a weekend-long tournament, whatever, quarterly, semi-annually.
I'll make it so they're here a couple days, because the city will benefit and we're gonna benefit too out of this. So.
And I know that, one more thing, sorry about that, that lighting is expensive, so if we're short, right, where's the rest of the money gonna come from?
I've got other, met a lot of general electricians, and they've already stepped up to the plate to help us out with some costs on the lighting.
I think one of our members.
It might be worthwhile to iterate that on Mr. Meyer's birthday, we didn't expect. I thought we had too much parking. I don't know how many of y'all saw the video of the attendance there, or how many of you came. We probably had over 350 attendees. Every inch of that 6 acres was full. We had people parked up and down 2790. The parking lot was full. Elderly people walked in that entire acreage to be there. And we had nothing. It was 104 degrees. Just wait till we have something there. We will be something to reckon with here, okay? So all we're asking for is support us.
We'll do that. Thank you.
I'd like to add to that, sir. As far as the events that I've been a part of, I think that the events that we have sponsored, we have done, they've all been successful. I think the profits were made, they show the numbers are there. So I'd just like to add that and add that statement to the council, take into consideration that everything that we've done has been successful. So you got a good team, we've got good officers, and we come together and we think about things and we talk about it, and that's our goal, is to be successful.
Roger that. Thank you. All right. Any other comments, council? All right, so we got a motion for us to go ahead and direct staff to work with the VFW for an agreement by the first meeting in September. There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, Chris. You got some homework? You go to work, okay, work closely with their staff,
I will.
get the details, and just like Alderman Tate brought up, some numbers, it would be good to go ahead and be able to do that, okay? All right. We'll be looking for that. Just keep us posted. All right, let's go ahead and move on to B, consider an act upon a request by Lidle VFW to the city for the possible support and donation to the Patriot Day Freedom Walk for the cost of the entertainment and events activities. So first, just so we can make sure, because there was a little bit of confusion already, if you can tell us, as you described this, tell us, the difference between that and the other, so.
This is a completely separate event. This is strictly for the, Freedom Walk, back before COVID. If everybody remembers, we used to do a Freedom Walk, hasn't happened since COVID. So, September 9th, we are, wanting to do the Freedom Walk. I've already worked out the details with, Chief Priest. We shortened it down to 1 mile this year because of the heat, and the safety concerns. So, the plan is to come out of the back of the park, cross the railroad tracks between Outlaws and Railhead Cafe, make a right on Main Street, go down to Patriot Gas, make a right, go down past the school, make a right past the cemetery, make a right past Masonic Lodge, and go back to the park under the pavilion where we'll hold a 9/11 ceremony to honor all those who perished on that horrific day. Afterwards, we're going to have a live DJ and bands throughout the day from, say, 11:30 to 10:30 at night, with local vendors, food trucks, cornhole boards, face painting, Texas cakewalk, and I'm trying to get some Dunkin' booths from MMR out of the bases, so we'll have that. The VFW will serve some hot dogs. We didn't do it on the July 4th, so we're having hot dogs for this event. Supplies, all supplies last.
That's what.
You'll be first in line. I got
That's
your
what this
ticket.
community
It's number
cares
one.
about. The rest
Hot
of that,
dogs.
the hot dogs is what's gonna sell this event.
That's right. I got your ticket, number one. Right there. So, we're gonna sell hot dogs, chips, while supplies last. Like I said, DJ, I got 3 bands, a piano, a keyboard player and singer, all day event. And it's, I've been pounding the streets in Lidle. We've gotten some support, a little bit of support, and people are excited. They're glad to hear that the Freedom Walk is coming back, and they're really looking forward to it. So I've come before the council for city support in this event.
Do you have an amount that you're looking at? I don't know if council.
I did not have any amount, I can tell you what my costs are gonna be for what I know right now, which is about $4,000 for things. That's, we're doing T-shirts, we're doing the band, and the food, some other things, but, so I can throw that number out to you, sir, that's, that's on the low end, but I just thrown that out and was asking for the city to help support this event. And, we've been, some of our comrades out here have been all over, surrounding communities, promoting this. And as soon as, I've already got you on the flyer, I'm pretty sure, hopefully, you'll support us, but, if not, we will proceed and we'll make this event happen for the city of London.
I think you have a comment.
Yes, sir. Juan and I have been to 45 businesses as of right now. In Lido, Somerset, McDonald's, Southwest, Lacoste, and all the businesses, we're just waiting till they, maybe they're asking for donations for those 45 businesses supposedly, And Eddie was here before, Eddie passed, and before anything like this, it used to happen. We used to walk here in Lido and walk around 44 businesses and just collect around $4,000. But now, all the like HEB and all the big businesses now, and the people are excited. I talked to a lot of, especially the ones in Somerset, we had never invited them. I went out there Saturday, and they're excited because I thought that we might get their Somerset ROTC to carry our colors.
Yes, sir.
And everybody's excited in the area.
So appreciate that,
Steve?
And
Your Honor, as well as we're trying to get the ROTC come out, I'm already in progress of getting approval for my 1st Battalion of the Texas State Guard and also members of the 4th Battalion in San Antonio to come and march in formation in the parade. It's something I feel that the local community is going to really enjoy. I know the great support that the community has for our military, and we want to get our base. Texas State Guard, we're a civil affairs unit. My particular unit is a medical unit, and my unit is currently the only one that's certified in the entire state as far as military units to do aeromedical evacuations. I happen to be their command sergeant major, and I'm very proud of them. I want to show them off. I want you guys to get to know my people, because in the future, during a disaster, any kind of ICS response, we'll probably be working together. And it's important for the community to know who is serving them, who they have in the background to come to their aid in time of need.
Roger that. Thank you so much, and I do want to thank those of you that actually walked around. I really appreciate that. And Juan, thank you for being out there. I did get a call on a few of you guys, if you guys were legit. Those people were asking, so I really appreciate you guys being out there. So I had to validate that you guys had. I think we have one more, and then I need to bring it back to the council.
Okay, sorry. I'm also the auxiliary president and also the president for the Chamber of Commerce. We've been working very closely with the VFW. So we've had some events with the chamber so that we can get some more people out here to District 20 to come out and have some time here at the hotels and a weekend out here on that date. So,
We'll put people be in hotels all
yes.
for that event as well.
Are you pre-booking rooms? Are y'all blocking rooms?
I didn't block rooms.
I am talking to him
Just handle
this
that.
week. Yeah, because we have to.
Yeah, that does help, by the way. Blocking does help when you need to put
Yeah.
this. So any event you guys are doing, block and get those numbers to Lynette.
Sure, I like to make a motion.
Okay?
I move that we donate $4,000 to the Lido VFW for the Patriot Day Freedom Walk.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for $4,000 to the VFW.
Can staff ask where those donations come from?
That's,
Let's go ahead and take the motion first. Let me get a second, and then we'll open it up for discussion.
I'll go ahead and second that motion and I have a follow-up question.
Okay? And you got a second? Okay, so let's go ahead and go into discussion then.
I wanted to ask Lynette, what she thinks is we could afford to give as a donation.
We still have money in promotional. I was trying to allocate some money for Christmas stuff for all of this year. I would have to actually look where we're at on it. I wasn't expecting, I didn't have a dollar amount from Chris. I don't.
Can we not fund this out of hot tax money?
If it's a qualifying event and you're gonna block some rooms out for me, I feel comfortable that we can do it with hot tax.
I'm very
But-
confident. we
So
can.
I know for a fact
communities.
that I've already confirmed that one of the band, some of the band members are gonna stay. And I can
Well,
be
the
with you
majority of the people be coming in, when they say promoting tourism, they mean it from
out
a
of
different
state.
city. Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
are we gonna
people
get
coming
some of
from
your
San
guys
Antonio.
from the state guard staying over at the hotel too?
There's a possibility, the orders that I'm getting cut for them is for, from 0800 to 1600 hours. Vast majority of the soldiers live within 50 miles of here. So they're kind of expected to go back to their home of record after their duty day. But they do have the option to stay overnight if they want to. But a lot of them, we're an all volunteer force. We don't get paid normally for our duties, for our drills and activities, only when we're on state active duty. And so every time they transport themselves to support something, it's out of their own pocket. They do it because they want to, because they love the communities. You know, we have that kind of dedication to our state and our nation. So some of them are a little bit more financially better off. They may choose to stay overnight. Others not so much. It depends.
Roger that.
And
Jesse, are
I
you
know
okay with that? I just wanna make sure people see.
As Lynette explained, it's unclear as to whether to qualify for the hot funds. Certainly, the regular sales tax and regular property tax revenue, general fund revenue, would fall under the general public benefit category, which is very broad, but that would be eligible. But again, it's a budgetary question as to, or it's just a budget priority question as to whether the funds are available there. I don't know. That's
Lynette, what size block do they require to appease them?
So there's no statutory rules for me with this.
No,
There's none in the code, in tax code.
Can we put somebody, a head in a bed to meet that
Yes.
one, and doesn't meet one of the other 9
We've already
categories?
I already know of a few people staying at the hotel.
There we go.
They have, she requested, she goes, if you're going to do events, these personal kind of events like this, get them to block rooms. Because then it's saying, okay, then it's.
We've had at least 6 as of right now that are staying.
Tell one, go.
All right, so got a motion, any further discussion on that? We have a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and provide 4,000.
Well, Mayor, I think the question was, we're talking about using hot funds for it, and I know that in years past, it used to be a 5K. I know things have gotten kind of away from the way they were done, but is it possible to incorporate a 5K as well to this event? And then I would say that's a sporting event, right? Running, I don't know about walking, but a sporting event would be a 5K. So people can run or not, but we just slap that on there to appease that requirement.
So, yeah, we did cut it down for, it used to be, almost 2 miles?
I mean, in the heat we got right
Yeah,
now.
I cut it down to
5,
about-
you better get some ambulances in here. One for me too.
At 6 in the
Yeah.
morning, it's not.
Well, we're promoting performance of the arts as well, right? So we've got 4 live bands and a DJ.
Well,
But I'll amend my motion, Mayor.
Okay.
I amend my motion to read that we use hot funds towards the Lytle VFW's Patriot Day Freedom Walk.
You have a second?
As long as they can show me that they have blocked those rooms off, I'm 100% okay with it, or a qualifying event.
Is that included in the motion? Just,
The it's subject to qualifying,
yes,
you can ask him to amend it. if
Yeah,
you want to.
subject to qualification.
Subject to qualification.
I'll second that.
Subject to us proving we've blocked off them, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So block out 10 yourself. Chris.
Okay,
I'll be there first.
so council, just so you know, we
We
have a
can get the
motion
hotel
on the
bid.
floor, stand by. We get a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and designate $4,000 to the VFW using hot tax funds, subject to the qualification, meeting qualifications that go along with that. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much, appreciate it.
This will be the flyer, I didn't pronounce.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to the VFW and the auxiliary, thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you guys do. Appreciate it, okay? So let's help Lynette, let's help the city get those rooms blocked and match names to them, okay? Make it a lot easier, and it's good for future events too. We'll know that's how we can actually help each other out, we can take care of requirements like that. All right, Chris is happy to be done now. All right.
That's a whole lot of work.
Okay, council, I noticed that we have some special guests here that are gonna make our quality of life even better here for the city of Lidle. That's item number H, and I'd like you to direct your attention to that. This is where we have the city administrator to enter into a telecommunications license agreement. Can I have a motion for us to go ahead and move H up before C?
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules and move item 7H to the next item on the agenda.
I got a motion on the floor, do I have a second? Okay, got a second. Council, let's go ahead and move over to H, 7H, and let's go ahead and address that. So, oh, I am so sorry, thank you for that. All those in favor, for us to go ahead and move? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Jesse, appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and go into H. Consider an act upon authorizing the city administrator to enter into a telecommunications license agreement with Bear County's internet services, known as Rise Broadband. So here we go.
So council, you should have had attached that agreement to your packet that both our legal department as well as Rise Broadband's legal department looked at. I can tell you, initial conversations with them was a big agreement with all these kinds of things, that cabinet locations. It's since come back to this simple agreement you have before you. It's a pretty standard agreement that Rise would like to get approved and done and signed off on before they start construction, which should be any day if they haven't already. So,
And Mayor, if I could just add just a few additional details, that this particular carrier is a licensed telecommunications carrier, regulated by the Texas Public Utilities Commission, and as such, they have the right to, under state law, to use the city's public right of ways for their facilities. So, so pursuant under that state law, they can then approach the city to enter into this license agreement. It's a very positive sign that they're willing to incorporate many of the initial comments we had on the initial agreement into the proposed agreement. So it shows a very positive, willing to work with the city. It also deals with some of the details about their actual operation in the easement. So we had our utility attorney review it and work with the Rise broadband attorney on the agreement. The compensation related to this particular agreement is the PUC sets those rates, and these rates are consistent with those. So it's all according to code, it's all amounts there, so it should be fairly straightforward. And it's again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a very positive sign that they're willing to address some of the city's concerns directly in its proposed agreement, because they in fact have as of right to go ahead and locate their equipment in the right of way anyway under state law. So it's a good sign that they're working with the city.
And this will bring fiber to our city, high-speed internet, true high-speed internet. So,
Council, we've been, just a little bit of history on this. We've been searching high and low for years to try to bring some sort of fiber. Everybody is asking about trying to do something for the city. So Rise Broadband stepped up, and they're the ones who actually said, we're gonna go ahead and come over. But I do want the council to know that Matt had a huge part on this, working with them. But, you know, you plant your seeds throughout the years. A few of us had a chance to be able to do that, but I want to let you know that your VFW helped out. Ed? And one of the members out there had contacts to Rise Broadband. And he was the one that actually first brought us line of sight telecommunications into the surrounding communities. And he's the one that planted the seeds and said, hey, if you guys ever think about doing something like this. And it just filtered. It took a while and stuff. And eventually we had the great folks like Callie over there that actually stepped up and said, we can do something. They're very supportive of our community. They've come across and they've worked real closely with Matt. And as you can tell, they've worked real closely at being able to show the right documents, be able to take care of the legal requirements to do that. This is going to take care of no matter where you live in Lytle, no matter what your income is, the opportunity to have fiber in your doorstep is going to be available. So this is a great thing for our community. Council?
With that being said, I have a question on some of the plans. The FCC has a portable connectivity program, which gives $30 to qualified homes. I don't know who I'm addressing. Is there going to be a plan that would be able to satisfy that?
So sorry, what was your question?
So the FCC has a portable connectivity program where they give $30 to qualified homes of, low income, whatever the qualifications are. Is there going to be a service provided that would fall in that category, that price category?
Yeah, so we comply with FCC in that regard, so we do offer the ACP program through our services. So you just have to qualify through that program, and then we obviously comply with that.
Great, thank you.
What's gonna be the dedicated download upload speeds?
1 gig, yeah.
Right now, we started building our networks as a 1 gig, but we're currently switching to a 10 gig download. So the opportunity will be symmetrical 10 gig up and down.
So I imagine there's gonna be different monthly plans available for
Yes, sir.
for people. And what's gonna be the approximate starting price for service?
We want to work with the community because our marketing basically has a sliding scale. So we'd like to work with the community as we do that. We're presenting that information to marketing and trying to drive a program that's going to work for the community.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the longest time, we've had terrible internet. As long as I've lived here, it's been dial-up speeds. Even whenever people came in, they promised whatever high-speed internet, it's never been high-speed. So, I mean, to see somebody willing to come out here and invest in our community, I think it's a really great thing that y'all are, gonna provide. It's gonna help a lot of people too.
Yeah.
I think, just to add, and great question, Charles, we had Adam, one of the initial actually coming in here, and from the initial discussions when we were talking to him months ago, he gave us the indication that the price of fiber is actually less than line of sight. Because we quoted what we're currently some of our residents in the outskirts are actually paying, and they quoted the basic plan, which is faster, the basic plan because it's over fiber, and the cost was like $20 less. Does that sound about right?
It is.
So, so big difference in sense of the quality, and at the same time, the cost that goes along with that.
All right, one more question. I always have one more. Provided we get this signed tonight, legal's already looked it over, looks good. When can we expect this to start being available to residents and businesses?
So we're projected to finish construction before Christmas. I will say we have really great contractors. We're also building out in the Stockdale area. They finished Stockdale in, I think, maybe 2 months. I mean, it was just super fast. So obviously we have different contractors for this area. They're all under the same company, so they really do great work. They make sure the locates are solid.
So council, we did a pre-con meeting with them and to tell you, if we could keep up with the locates, they'd like to have 10 rigs here in town installing fiber. I don't think we can do that. We're gonna start with 3 and hopefully be able to stay ahead of them to get up to 5. Because even talking to them, the big companies out of San Antonio can't keep up with 10. So our one located guy can't keep
And
up.
council, just for clarification, the way this actually works is they're just running the lines, they're not running them into the houses. So it's gonna be on the, once the customer determines, hey, I want the service, then it will actually be run, is that correct?
That's correct.
So it's basically just laying it down next to the homes until somebody
So by
decides.
Christmas timeframe, the customers should be given that option. Mayor, I want to make a motion authorizing the city administrator to enter into telecommunications license agreement with Air Canopy Internet Service, INC BEA, Verizon Broadband.
Got a motion on the floor.
I'll second that, Mayor.
You got a second?
Sorry, Lake Shore.
Further discussion? Yes, sir.
So,
I have a menu.
once you start, you're gonna have the fiber.
Yes.
Okay, and if somebody calls and says, look, I'm about 300 feet off the main road, you're not gonna tell them you can't do it, right? Because that's what AT&T
Right.
told, man, it wasn't even 300 feet, they just said, no, we won't go that far.
Yeah.
And it's main off the, we're just main off the main road here, so I'm just,
It is odd how these things happen. I myself live in a smaller community and have the same issue with, with AT&T, a big one. So they drive me crazy, but that's just a personal little TED talk I have. But our engineering plan is very extensive. They've been adjusting to accommodate as much as possible. We've been working with Matthew on new developments as well and making sure that they're included in that plan. So, yeah, we're definitely trying to include anyone and everyone.
and you all are in Lidle already, because you are advertising saying you all are.
As obviously fixed wireless, but not fiber yet. But we are, I know there are some advertisements getting pre-registrations ready, so it can just be an easy transition if we have our wireless for us to just.
All right.
So question, so you guys have been already working with UP? Because there's a certain point that you'll have to go across the railroad.
Yes.
You guys already been in coordination? Okay, so I want to make sure. I know some are gonna go across to connect, but like Coal Mine, we want to make sure that,
And are you in city limits, sir?
Yes.
yeah,
That's the scope, so.
as long as it's within the city limits. Okay. Council, any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much.
We're very excited to work with y'all, and I've mentioned this to Matthew, and VFW as well, but our company is definitely looking to sponsor anything and everything that we can, so whatever we can do to support you.
As long as I can watch a movie, but not that little.
I mean, you're a cute day, come on now.
Me and my kids.
There you go. Okay, well, y'all are all very cute.
I got 5 kids, so we need a lot of internet.
Y'all need to stop having kids.
What else is doing Lidle, apparently?
No internet.
Appreciate that. This is a big, huge win for us, so thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
You guys are making our city jump from one level to another level, especially our kids with their education needs. So appreciate that. That's great. All right, council, let's go ahead and move back to item number C, discuss and act upon. And by the way, for DFW and Rice Broadband, you're welcome to stay here. Totally up to you. Going to be here. C, discuss and act upon development plan for upgrading and improving the city roads and streets to accommodate future development. Alderman Kate, this was an item that was actually placed in front of the council before, and we address it later. So Alderman Kate and I think Matt.
I think Matt's got some, we found, I think the item, the motion was for him to look into it.
Go back into it. Okay, so, several ways we can do for it. I kind of do those up. We can do, I guess the cheapest and easiest way is for us to just put our minds together and say, that's where we want this road, that's the kind of road we want here, that, and develop the plan ourselves. The problem with that is we're not traffic engineers. And realistically, you should have a traffic engineer do that. Although when you throw that word engineer behind the word traffic, it costs a lot more money. So, it's been how the council wants to move forward. We can also, if the council wants, get a brand new comprehensive plan because that does cover traffic as well. I did print out from our comprehensive plan, the transportation and mobility from the 2025 version. It was very interesting that some of the same streets we've already talked about as making major, are already listed in this plan. This was even before the known, I don't know, I printed it for me, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't know. But I'm sorry. I gotta catch up some details. And I'll hand it around, but it's really, like we talked about before, it's coming in, Benton City Road 3175. That's a main thoroughfare road into our town, getting over to the schools. And then the other roads.
Richie, can you ask them to?
The other roads that they've identified, I thought were interesting too, because we didn't have those known subdivisions yet. And they've already got roads running through where the subdivisions are putting roads now to open up that property. So I guess I'm looking for direction from the council. How do we want to move forward? Do we want to just put our heads together and kind of based off of what the engineers did in this plan, look at it and give our best estimates at it? And then staff kind of knows where to look at, and we can get maybe some estimates from TRC, but they're going to be really expensive to do pretty much anything we want to do. Or do we want to just move forward with the new plan? I mean, I need direction.
In previous conversations, you commented on some streets, although they may require repair, should wait because of future development happening in that area. So that's something that needs to be considered. If we went with an engineering firm, do they look at that as well?
So yes and no, I would say yes. They're gonna come in and based off our time, this is where you're, as a traffic engineer, is where I think your main roads ought to go. Then we come back and say, okay, we agree with you there, but we have X coming in here that could change that. And that's part of that whole conversation. And I don't know of much more development or things we're gonna have that's gonna change anything currently. But I think it's just part of that group when we get together, if we use a traffic engineer to say, hey, what would it cost to bring y'all in? Let's meet, let's try to figure out this mobility plan for it. Because if we don't start something soon, then 10 years from now, we're gonna go, man, I really wish we would have done that.
But that doesn't consider the condition of the road. That's just traffic.
That's just the mobile. My understanding, the condition of the road we already had done once. We paid a company a lot of money to come in, check all of our roads and tell us this is a poor road, this is how you can fix that. And
that information is available?
It is, we can submit that plan, but it's never been followed since we got it. Most of the plans, I tell you, Mike, most of the plans we spend money for that we then get go right on the shelf and we never really follow. I don't know why.
One more question, Charles. What is it you're looking for? Are you looking at the throughput through the streets? Or are you looking at the conditions?
Both, I would say. For a couple different reasons. I think one of the roads that we've talked about in the past is Somerset Road, right? And I think Matt's brought it up that that's a big drainage project out there too. It's not just repaving that road, it's improving the drainage facilities. And of course, the ball is rolling with the drainage utility fund, but we're also going to need additional funds to address the roads as well. I know in looking into this previously, not to get sidetracked, there's some more stuff to talk about, but the state bank has, infrastructure bank has some low interest loans. But, we have a couple different things. We could borrow money. We could put it up for a bond. We could put it up for the voters to say, hey, look, we can fix this, but it's going to cost $7 million. I mean, I'm just tossing that out there. I don't think there's a set cost yet, but I imagine it's going to be several million. I would say at least 2 to 3 million to fix that stretch of roadway. But I think one of the uniform things citywide, as far as our roads and streets are concerned, is that they are not built to any specific standard. They're not all 20 feet wide with improved shoulders and curbs and sidewalks, because everything that I've looked into as far as designing your roadways is to have proper drainage facilities so you don't get the water into the base that causes that asphalt to be cracking and spreading out. And you want the water going where it's supposed to, not underneath your roadway, and you want curbs and sidewalks in place to keep it all within. Now, for years and years, we've never built our roads that way. Moving forward, establishing that, hey, we're redoing this road, right? this, whatever, 100, 200-foot stretch, chip away at it, because citywide, we're probably looking at, golly, $20 million to fix all our roads like they should be fixed, like they should have been built initially. I don't know if that answers your question, just it makes more.
If I could,
Because right now, I mean, we're basically just topping things.
if I can piggyback off of Mr. K, it's not just the importance of how our roads are built and maintained, that way they don't deteriorate quicker. It's how do we get the cars and the people through town effectively? If you ever go by our schools, when they're dropping off kids, they're picking up kids, and this first week is the worst, avoid it at all costs unless you have to. And guess what? It's gonna get a million times worse once we fill those subdivisions up. We've gotta figure that out as a city, and that's where we've lacked.
And I think from what I've heard previously, and this has been a couple of years since I talked to anybody at the school about their future plans. They have no future plans to build on the other side of 35. They have enough land where they're at. They want to build there. And I understand that, right? Land's expensive. They don't have, same boat that we're in. We don't have the money. But to address the capacity, because our roadways, fortunately, they're state roads. The main ones are state roads. So TxDOT's eventually, but they're going to be behind the curve. They're going to, it's going to be traffic backed up to City Hall to get on 2790. But before they do anything, so I don't know if it's fortuitous or just good luck, bad luck, but after that meeting in July, maybe it was right before it, before I could get it on the agenda, that I got that email from Congressman Cuellar's office talking about grant opportunities. Unfortunately, some of these grants that would probably be helpful in projects that we have, the deadline, I think the deadline for one of these is next week. I don't think it's very realistic to try to submit for that. But there is one, if you look on this packet that Lynette printed out on the bottom of page 2, it's the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Program. I'll just read off the project description for folks. The Reconnecting Communities Pilot Program aims to advance and support reconnection of communities divided by transportation infrastructure, with the priority on helping disadvantaged communities improve access to daily needs, jobs, schools, healthcare, grocery stores, and recreation. The required design activities, environmental studies, pre-development, pre-construction, and permitting tasks encompassed in the National Environmental Policy Act process. These activities include the removal, retrofit, or mitigation of an eligible dividing facility, the replacement of such a facility with a new one that restores community connectivity, or the delivery of community benefits, environmental improvements, and impact mitigation identified through NEPA, or other planning and project development efforts for the construction project. And the way that I read that, I see two main dividing facilities in the city, I-35 and the railroad track. If that's enough time to get something in for September 28th, a lot of these that I looked at, even if we aren't accepted, the federal government will follow up with us and give us recommendations for when more money is available next year. Some of these grant programs have additional rounds of funding. So my thought is something like that. I think the one after it's very similar, but it talks about disadvantaged communities. I don't know if we qualify for that because the median household income has risen in recent years. But as far as the dividing facilities, we've seen all the work that went in out there. There's still no way for anyone to walk underneath I-35, and we're going to have 5,000 people on the other side of the highway here in 10 years' time. So my thought is, if we can get something towards that, perhaps that's one problem we can address, because that's just one, right? Another one is the railroad. And I think anyone who's been over there at school rush hour, you get stopped by a train, you're backed up all the way to, I don't know, Somerset Street. So big ticket thing there, like they have in Divine, where we could drive underneath the railroad with the light and all that. I mean, because that's a $10 million project. We're never going to get that money. We will never be able to fund any of these projects ourselves. We're gonna need help, so, I mean, if we can swing that, that's what, 45
I'm not-
days? I mean, to look into it and just gauge the feasibility on getting something in.
So I could look into the grant to see what would be required to even submit. A lot of them are probably gonna have costs associated with doing X project. And that would require us to bring in engineers to start doing, and one is gonna cost us money, which I don't know where we bring that money from. And secondly, I don't know if they get it done that quick. Moving forward on situations just like this, I think that's why we have taken a more proactive approach. You'll hear about it during my report next 2 weeks of how we do that. But the only way you do that is to bring in professionals that do that specifically and have those
And I
contacts.
think you touched on it, Matt, when we were having the budget workshop. We talked about bringing somebody in and putting them out in there to be able to help us out, because they deal with this day in and day out. So you kind of gave us a little bit of a preview of stuff we needed to do.
Just before I forget, to comment on what you said about the traffic engineers, every planning book that I've read, they say traffic engineers are a waste of money. They're a waste of tax dollars. That's the consensus across the board.
So then who would we use to, I mean, I don't know. That's everything I've seen is that you gotta have a traffic engineer. I don't know.
Well, it's all because, yeah, they say that because, hey, it's all one big happy family. They're looking to make money off of people. As far as the comprehensive plan is concerned, you know, like you said, we have an existing one that mentions some of these projects. But if you spend money talking about the pavement, right, reassessment, pavement reassessment thing from, let's say it was 5 years ago, $50,000 and went nowhere. So spend $200,000 for a new comprehensive plan. What's the point of spending that money if we're not gonna, okay, this is what the experts say. What's the point of spending that money if we're not gonna follow it? That's my concern.
I don't disagree with you at all. I think if we're gonna spend that money and we get the playbook, whether it's y'all or the people after you or whoever, that's the playbook, right? And obviously things can change. The current playbook was built for us without the knowns of the other side of 35. It was kind of back there in the back of our mind, but we never really thought it was gonna happen. But some of the stuff makes sense with the growth. I think now we need to look at Lytle for today and Lytle in the future and get a new comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
So Charles, going back to this one, motion or something that you
Yeah,
like out of this?
I would like to make a motion, Mayor. And it would be that, that we direct, I move that, we direct the city administrator to look into the feasibility of submitting a grant application for the Reconnecting Communities pilot program, and to get back to council on whether or not it can be filled by the deadline. So I don't want to commit money if we're not gonna, this is not my motion, but I don't want to commit money if we can't do it.
Do it.
Just writing stuff down. Stand by.
Mayor, I'll go ahead and second that motion for the city administrator to look into that.
It's Reconnecting Communities Pilot, RCP program. Okay, any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess if you come back, you know, you look at it tomorrow, you say, yeah, we can do this, inform the mayor, the council, so we can call a special meeting, if we have to get an engineer, you know, to itemize, I think, but you're right, I think that they do want construction costs.
Yeah.
And me looking over, I did not see a matching thing like we've submitted in the past. I imagine that there is some sort of thing, but, I mean, there's a lot of money floating around out there due to the infrastructure bill, and I don't know how long it's gonna be there. So I feel like, hey, we don't put it out there, we might miss a window that's
Right,
never
well,
gonna
yeah,
reopen.
Got a motion on the floor, got a second, any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much, appreciate that. Thanks, Matt, for the update, appreciate that. All right, D, consider and act upon authorizing city administrator to renew certificates of deposit. And this is for our community center, account ending 2486 at Vital State Bank with funds totaling $150,145.60.
That's pretty straightforward. Just the renewal. We want to renew that CD, and there's no penalty if we ever have to break it or anything. We built in the budget. That's the one CD we identified that we could potentially break to help revamp the community center. That's the money this is.
Can I ask a couple of questions? When was that CD?
It's been here as long as I've been here, 20 years. Chief, do you know when the 1 year is created at CD?
That's when they donated the land. I'm sorry, my grandfather donated the land, the 1 year's donated money, and the $100,000 CD from what I recall was supposed to be, at that point in time, interest rates were very high. So you could maintain and pay the bills out of the community center on that $100,000.
That's what I was wondering.
They were 15% in 84, 85, so it was fairly substantial income. So it's from back when they built the center.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because that $150,000 is a lot of money, but in today's money, it is gonna help though, when we start.
Well, we know the foundation issue already was around 80-ish thousand, 60, 80,000, I can't remember the exact quote. No matter what we do, we're gonna have to hire an engineer to oversee the project, but, we gotta do foundation before we do anything else, but it's dated inside. We haven't been there. We need the flooring, roof, the roof needs some work, so we don't have leaks. There's several things we need to do.
Mayor, I want to make a motion authorizing the city administrator to renew the certificate of deposit from Juanita.
1 year.
1 year center fund. Account number ending in 2486 at Lytle State Bank with funds totaling $150,145.60.
Got a motion on the floor?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Any second? Any further discussion?
Quick question, what are we looking at total renovation costs for the community center?
Every penny and then some, I'm sure. I don't know. That's something I'll have to get with TRC and, or I think before we do that, maybe some of us from the council get together and develop our vision and what we want to see over there. We know foundation for sure. Let's do the must-haves and then let's add whatever we want from there.
I mean, some of that, we're talking about hot funds, is that something that we can use hot funds for to?
We can, but it goes back to the wording of using convention center.
Here, if we can.
It's really, so that's something we had talked about several months ago, Matt and I had. And it's a call I had in that I don't think I ever got back with her on, is how we go into calling that the civic center and considering it.
Have there been any talks with the one year family about renaming?
We have it.
1 year.
Could we, so if we could change it from a community center to a civic center. Host anything, or bridal shower extravaganza, anything. We're bringing in a convention that then helps support the hotel industry. Oh, we're driving legal crazy over here. It's like, oh my God.
No, we could certainly investigate it. It would, there have been, other cities that have used hot funding for these types of projects. There may be some, splitting of hairs to ensure that it qualifies, but that's certainly.
That was, yeah.
And I know this is an item for probably future discussions for what we're gonna do with the money. But I think Natalia, they just got a bunch of grant money to build a new, convention.
Called it a civic
Center, so it's like, hey, if we're gonna not only fix that, I'm trying to figure out where I am. If we're gonna fix the community center, but also add on, because what happens if people, they need more space to do activities, right? So,
How many people fit in there?
We've worked with as many as 300 in there, and it's pretty crowded.
So those are discussions, these are things we've talked about before, we just need as part of the list of things to iron out and try to give an indication. For the council's awareness, so, the Civic Center opens up the door for other activities and things to be taken into consideration, so just need to be aware of that and stuff, but it would be one of the easiest ways possibly one of the easiest ways to associate some of that money to be able to help out with that.
Now, the definition of civic center, convention center, is it stipulate like a amount? Like it has to be a certain amount of people?
Before we get too off, I want to make sure we're not getting too off track of the agenda here.
Yeah,
That's
we
all.
do have to stick to agenda. We certainly
Yeah.
need that statement that,
I still want us to get in trouble.
We can certainly, yes, we do have to stick to the agenda, but yes, we can certainly, review that and report back to the council on that. I believe the difference is primarily in the use and whether or not they're in a municipal uses in a civic center as opposed to a community center. Well, that, again, we can just stick to the
Yeah,
agenda,
that's
we'll
the
review
same,
that back.
in general.
I'll research it.
Good idea. That'd be good. All right, anything else? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks so much. And, 4 minutes, let's go ahead and tackle one more. No, sorry. Let's go ahead and do E, consider and act upon ordinance 23-07 for Saddle Ridge Phase 2 and 5, establishing enforcement of stop signs, setting the speed limit, accepting street names, and adding streets to the city map.
So council, pretty straightforward. Jesse actually made it a lot easier for us than we did for 1 and 6, but we've accepted it as far as engineering goes, but in order for our police departments to be able to enforce those speed limits and stop signs, we have to do it by ordinance. That's what this does. Accepts the streets, updates the map and the legal map of the city, and gives us the enforceability of those items.
Okay.
I noticed in here that the speed limit's 25. Is that something that we talked about previously? Or is that just
The speed limit in phases 1 and 6 is 25, so it'd be kind of weird if we don't set the rear one. And this way, with the one way in, one way out, it's one speed limit sign at the opening of the subdivision when you enter.
No, I think it's great. I think us lowering the speed limit on some of the roads has helped in other areas of town.
I think that was the thought process in doing it the first round with Molly is we'd already kind of changed the direction for residential streets down to 25. And then this being more dense, maybe even more sense.
So those are already street limits set and street names?
Yes, they're already up, they've already been adopted as part of the MVP plan and everything. It's just, as each phase is done and ready to turn over and for them to build houses on it, we go through this process of adopting them officially. But yeah, all the signs are already up, the post, I mean, if you drove through there right now, it's just no houses.
I mean, this includes the enforcement, right?
Yeah, now our police, so if you were driving there now, and you run a stop sign or we're doing 90 on it, our police can't do anything about it.
So
After this, they will be able to.
has there been an issue yet with people, I guess, complaining about speeds or anything about, hey, no one's out here?
I was stopped by one gentleman just the other day in there. It was kind of real rough when he talked to you, complaining about not having a speed limit sign. I talked to Public Works again about putting a new one up, explained what it was. Of course, like everybody, they want it every time you blink an eye, but explain to them that legally we just have to put one in the road, but that our cops are out there and they are, and GPS from the cars to prove it, they're every road, every shift. So they're out there patrolling it. I don't think we've had any issue with speed limits or stop signs.
No, actually, I mean, the car, because of the way people park on the curb, yeah, there's really not much way you can speed. There's a few straightaways, but the more houses that are built, other than that main road going in, you can't drive down the street at 30 miles an hour even.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 23-07 for Saddle Ridge Estates Phase 2 and 5, establishing enforcement of stop signs, setting the speed limit, accepting street names, and adding streets to the city map.
Thank you. Now, motion on the floor, do I have a second? Okay, and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and, it's 7:53. So let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And we'll come back and finish up and then we'll go ahead and jump into the reports. Bueno,
We're live on audio.
let's go ahead and show us back at 8:07. And, excuse me. Sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, council, to the item F. And this is where we consider an act upon, authorizing and setting a timetable for the transfer of Matt Deere as the city administrator to the Lytle Police Department captain to proceed within the hiring procedures and job listing to hire a new city administrator.
So council, first and foremost, it's been a great honor to work with y'all in the position here. But I think my heart still lies in the police department, you know, and everything we do over there and things that they get to do and help the community, that's where my skill set is. And they had difficulty in hiring that last position within the police department. So meeting with the chief and talking to him about the possibility of me transferring back, him and the mayor, about transferring back to the police department as a police captain to fill that. That's kind of what drove this here. That's where my heart lies. I can tell you honestly, if our captain at the time, if I knew he was leaving, I'm not sure I would have made this leap over here. But when I made the decision and started my skill set and training to become the city administrator, my knowns were that the captain and chief had no intentions of ever retiring, going on forever kind of thing. So for me, I made a decision, how do I advance my career without leaving the city? I don't want to leave the city at all. My heart's here in the city and protecting it and doing what I can. So that's my request to the city, if you'll please consider that and fulfill it, to be moving back to the police department at the rank of captain with that salary of a police captain. I understand all that, you know, reduction and stuff. But there is a window in there where, you know, if that is allowed, we have to advertise, get a new person hired and all that. So it wouldn't be like, hey, if this is approved tomorrow, Matt's gone, you have a vacancy here, city administrator. You know, if you allow this, let's work on advertising and trying to fill that role as a city administrator, make sure we got the right person with the correct skill sets in place. And then once that's made the transition, then I can move over to the police department.
So council, just so you know, we did talk, I know we have, we have a PD, we have a PD situation right now happening. But we did talk to Richie as our police chief and just asked him and see if he was okay with this happening, and he was supportive about this. He echoed what Matt is talking about in the sense of having a gap. Richie had mentioned they lost 40 years of experience. You know, where that transition happened with both of them actually leaving and not knowing that Frank was going to go ahead and leave on there. Richie said he already knows the community. It's not a new person, understands the area, knows about the area. And he's continued to train our police department that goes along with that. He mentioned that you were a master police officer, so it goes along with that. And basically that the timing, you know, it's basically the timing right with, just like Matt said, that they've been trying to fill a position, hasn't worked out, and there's an opportunity to kind of line things up for the chance to be able to do this. So it was just he stepped up during a difficult time. We appreciate you doing that. As we actually try to go ahead and continue to move our city forward. So this is a chance for him to go ahead and be back. Now, on a note related to that, one of the things I did ask the police chief, and he was okay, and I did talk to Matt with an understanding to see if we could actually go ahead and shoot for no later than the end of the year. If things go well and it happens before that, then it happens before that. If not, we would actually go ahead and say no later than the end of the year, just so we can go ahead and do the due process with the hiring and everything, which is part of the agenda item on here for us to go ahead and proceed with the hiring procedures and the job listing of the city administrator. So those things, I would be asking Richie to talk a little bit, but he's actually out, so I just wanted to echo some of the conversations that we had with the police chief on being able to do this. The great thing for us is that he'll still be around. I know that just like anything, he always steps up and helps out, no matter where we need inside the city. So it's a great opportunity also in the distant future too, to always be there to be able to help us out with portions with this. So, council, I'll turn it over to you. Well, that's the background, just so you have an idea.
Well, I haven't been here that long, but what I've heard, what I've seen you do here, I'm satisfied. And I gotta bring you up because, I got to see a little bit of the past, person do the stuff that you do. But, I mean, you do a good job.
Thank you.
I wish we could keep you here, but where your heart's at, you gotta go get that book.
Sorry.
Council?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we transfer Matt Gear back to the police department at the rank of captain, and that we direct staff to proceed with advertising for a new city administrator.
And to clarify, what would be the time period for the transfer, Mr. King?
Well, I guess my concern, just is that, to fill this position of city administrator, it could take an indefinite amount of time. I know that the city of Divine, they've had an opening, they've had an interim city administrator for several years now. I think that might be due to a variety of reasons. I think they just hired somebody who unfortunately cannot fulfill that position. But it's, as Matt can attest, it's a very demanding role. And I think we're gonna be challenged, so to say, hey, Matt, you're going to the PD January 1st. I don't know if I'm being realistic, I don't know if we're gonna find somebody in 4.5 months. And what that would look like if we don't, what are your thoughts on, hey, what are you gonna do? Because I think the way it says is that you're gonna stay here as city administrator until.
So I can tell you, I don't want to leave the city high and dry. That's never the way I've ever operated. I'm not planning on starting it today. Obviously, I would like to transfer as soon as possible, but I understand the keenness of the position I set in. If, we don't have anyone internally that's looking to promote up into the interim spot or something like that, that's how I got my start, right? I wasn't sure that was what I wanted. I was, when I got the skill set for it, moved over to interim, and it was a very unique time when we came in and what all we did. But it is what it is today. So I would hope we can fill it so I can move over sooner rather than later, but I would never leave the city high and dry. That is not my intention ever.
What is the likelihood that we could fill a position of interim city administrator quicker than a full-time city administrator? So we pull somebody over in the interim, but allow you to go back to the PD sooner, but they can be that stopgap between finding somebody full-time. Because I honestly do think that we're gonna have some challenges in finding someone qualified who's a good fit, who wants to, be out here. You wanna be here, that's why you wanna stay here, right?
Yes, sir. No, that's my intention is not to leave the city, no, sir.
So a timeline.
No, the reason I was asking is that your motion could be interpreted as making the transfer immediate. And so,
Okay.
My question was whether or not
You want to just stay to the end of the year?
pending the finding a replacement or an interim person.
I would say, pending until we find a replacement for you. If we've got to come back and revisit it here in several, around the end of the year and do, I don't know. My concern, of course, is finding somebody. So I think until we find a replacement, I hate to say the beginning of the year. I hate to say the date. I'm not trying to trap you here, right?
No, I understand.
But I think that, of course, everything, all the responsibilities, powers, and duties that we have assigned to the city administrator, you do a lot for us right now. And to leave more stuff on Lynette's plate or Paula or, everybody else in the office, I think they already have a lot on their plate, so.
And that is not my intention whatsoever.
So I'm saying indefinitely until we can find a replacement for you.
I think we probably will do okay. There's different ways that you can advertise, where you look, what techniques that you actually look at. Of course, you need to be sensitive about not spending money Some cities actually spend money to go get an agency to go do that and create this elaborate thing. There's a lot of folks in the immediate area and local area that have experience with that. You never know whether or not they're interested until we advertise. We don't know who is there, and all of a sudden they're looking at an opportunity to be able to move into a smaller community versus a larger community that's out there. There's people around San Antonio that are retired, and I've talked to some of them, and they're like, hey, part-time gig, but of course it's not a part-time gig, so it's full-time.
It's a full-time gig.
And honestly, and I agree with you, Charles, I think we need to find somebody who's being able to do that, because whoever fills this role, it's not about just showing up and sitting behind the desk. This is a job that you gotta be out and about, and you gotta be connected and figuring out things and doing things, because we're still going through that circle of the growth until we get to a point where we can add additional staff. So the funding comes into play that goes along with that. But we do have a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and promote, for us to go ahead and consider promoting him to going back to the BD as a captain and proceeding with the hiring, pending the finding of a replacement. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
You have a second? Okay, so I got a second. Okay, any further discussion?
Mayor, I'm interested in the hiring process. I know this is not part of the motion, but I've always been interested in the hiring position, especially with city administrator. I think that's such an important role. I don't know, I would like to volunteer or somehow become part of that interview group. I know that's not part of the motion, but I want to put that out there. Because
I think that
You will be by
what you-
default,
Yeah.
you're gonna be, because you're on the council.
Right, but I don't want the council to be, these are our final decisions of who we think we want to get. I would like to be more involved, or at least have the council more involved throughout the whole process. See who's actually being, applying. Because it's such an important role,
Yeah,
the city administrator.
I mean, I agree with you, I hate to turn somebody away just because you don't like the name, but, the finance director before Burnett, we had 30 some odd applicants, and we looked at all of them. So I think that all of the applications we should review. And whatever the job opening is, hey, it's close out in, October? So, what are we saying, end of the year? We're trying to hire them by the end of the year. That we review them all. Council reviews them as a whole.
So Michael, you're actually volunteering, that's what you want to say?
Yeah, if that's even possible, yeah, I would like to volunteer to be part of that process. Because I want to be able to see, these candidates that are coming through. And, Mr. Deere, I do appreciate the time you put in. You've always been there to answer my questions. I don't like the fact that you're gonna leave, but you're not leaving the city.
Yeah, no,
You're
I'm
gonna be within the organization. I hope we can get a replacement, but from what I've seen from other cities, San Antonio included, I mean, it's a very difficult process. And then to get them here to Lytle, it's gonna be another, milestone that we have to achieve. But I do hope that you will stay in your current position as long as it takes.
Yeah, I'm not leaving.
Thank you.
So Charles, with that, your direction was to go ahead and direct the staff to go ahead and do that. Did you want to include Alderman? I mean, part of that?
I think the motion was to direct staff to open it up for advertisements. I mean, I can amend it to bring all applications before the council that we receive from city administrator. So that works.
It's often done that way, council, Alderman King, typically, often the mayor will often be the initial point of contact, and in a particular form, as a general law city, the mayor normally would take that responsibility, and then typically, as applications are received, meet with the council in closed session to review the applications received, discuss that, and then as you begin filtering out, a list of potential candidates for interviews, similarly interview them, and then ultimately make a decision on this candidate. That's often how it's done with the for cities this size. So it's often they can either, it's a little less typical to have a committee because for Open Meeting Act rule
Right.
compliance and like, so it's, and so for that reason, it's often more practical to have the mayor initially field them all, compile them, and then bring them to the council for their consideration and discussion. And you fill them out
That
for
would
that
sound
process.
fine. Yes.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So leave your motion as is? Or amended to have council as a whole review all the applications? Okay. Can you go ahead and accept the amendment? Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, council.
All right, man. Got some work to do. Gotta take care of that.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to G, discuss and possible action on the city's council, top 3 out-of-budget priorities for the proposed 2023-2024 budget. So council, this came out of the workshop, okay? When we were having a workshop and we were looking at where we have money available and the things that we could actually prioritize. So I asked everybody, hey, kind of take a look and see if there's any projects or different things that we need to take into consideration as a way for us to go ahead and minimize, going back and forth with the staff and saying, hey, how about this? Well, how about this? How about this? If we come up with some way of saying, hey, these are the top 3 or the top, the top priorities that we have, and we concentrate the efforts they can work on those, the list can be long, okay? But if we take it in small bites and as a council, we say, hey, these are the out of budget, the ones that we don't have any money and we need to work on it, then we can go ahead and take care of it. Charles brought up about the grant, being able to work on the roads and different things like that. The one that I'll give you some examples, the 2 that I actually had was the Benton City Road with the drainage. To me, that's one that's going to require engineering, it's the design and everything. It's going to take some money, and maybe after we figure that out, then being able to get the funding that goes along with that. But that's a major project that we need to go ahead and start moving out on that one. And then number 2, the other one is the capital improvement plan. We got to get that taken care of. So whichever way we need to and be able to do that. But those are just 2 examples that I want to put out there. And I wanted us to kind of discuss this as a way to go ahead and come up with the priorities. And once again, the main thing is just so we kind of focus our staff and we say, these are the things that you need to work on. And we minimize going back and forth with our staff with different things. So that's background.
That's it. So that way, so we in the budget that we'll be presenting again, we were able to meet what we needed to stay moving forward, but no real big projects. So we think we're under on a lot of our revenues, so we can hopefully amend those up. But as we amend those up, we've already targeted what those priorities are. That way we don't say, well, we're gonna send that money over here, and the council, well, we've been talking about this over here, we just forgot. We get them listed somewhere here in the city hall, and they're, well, it may be 10 of them, but the top 3 are right here. As soon as we can get one, and we get the funds to do one, let's scratch it off the list and get one done. And I don't know how we get there. Maybe it's each one of you sends me a list of your items. I go into some kind of, survey, and we send them all back out, and everybody clicks on what they think are high, and we just rate them that way. I don't know, but we figure out how to get to that top 3 list and prioritize those items.
So Mayor, despite this list, I'll use Charles' motion for example, on the streets. If you find that this grant is available, but it's got a cutoff date, and the council agrees on it, I mean, that's something that could be moved up for priority if it wasn't on the top priority list. There will be some time constraints that we may move the priorities around.
Honestly, there might be, but once again, the main thing is we as a council decide as a group and say, these are our priorities. And then we turn it over. And that's what they're gonna be working on and trying to take care of it. Just so it's a lot more focused and we're not jumping all over the place trying to figure out what's the next project, what are we taking care of? We already know what the things are. Unless it's an emergency or a special circumstance, we gotta stick to our priorities.
And the good thing is, once we have this list, we as staff, if the budget works out and we can bring on a third party to assist us with grants and stuff like that, we can give them that list. Here's our priorities. Go find us monies. That's what they do, right? That's our stuff that we want to work on. And then let them go to work. Versus, hey, I was searching the internet today and I found Project X. Y'all want to do it? I guess, that sounds good, whatever, you know. We've already listed, here's our priorities, go find us funding. When you're out there talking to, and us as city, when we're meeting with dignitaries that are coming to town, or you're meeting with them somewhere, you've got that list, and you're like, hey, Lotto, Texas, man, we've got this project, you know, mobility is our issue, we really need some money for mobility, what can you do to help us? And it just gets us out there more. But we're all on the same sheet when we're pitching the city.
So Jesse, is it possible that we could go ahead and, you know, we can talk about it, but we can go ahead and allow Matt to go ahead and take inputs and then go ahead and send it out individually without the whole group to go ahead and rank order them and then turn in?
Yes, that would be okay. The issue would be to not have all of you, you can't be deliberating.
No,
it'll be individual. When I send out individual emails, so hey, here's all of them. You rank them based off of your ranking, top to low, and then we just kind of.
You can compile that and then report back to the council and at another meeting for you to discuss it with you. You're just tabulating your comments. That's allowed.
Council, can I get a motion for us to go ahead and delegate the city administrator to go ahead and help us out with putting our top priorities?
I mean, can we discuss it now, as far as what our top priorities are? And I mean, that's,
Yes, you can.
because, you know, while we have everybody here to have a discussion, as opposed to waiting for 2 weeks. I mean, just, right, everyone's drawing the grants, right? And the thing about the grants is that some of these pop up mid-year. So the thought process that I have for that is, hey, look, there is a specific grant for infrastructure, right, that would benefit us. One of the numerous projects that we have, but it's gonna cost us $100,000 or whatever, just tossing that out there for this, you know, argument's sake. But a lot of these grants, you know, I was looking at the newsletter that goes out from Congressman Cuellar's office. It's a wide variety of things from these grants. And a lot of this stuff, you know, doesn't apply to us, and a lot of it does. So, I mean, that's my thing, right? Would be grants. We're gonna have extra money, grants. The others would be parks improvements. And the third one would be real property acquisition. If real property comes for sale, in that we purchase it, just like we bought that land from the tax sale. So those are three I got.
So, I think every councilman's gonna have their list, but I think, the city attorney could compile those items and then put those out. Let me start, Mayor, by making a motion to have the city administrator take the list as presented by council, plus any other he may feel needs to be on the list, and send that out for vote.
Tabulation.
Tabulation, thank you.
Just list item 1 to 5, strongly agree, yeah, and then just, that got a 3, that got a 6, or a 5, that got to total the number down.
So that would be my motion. Now, my top priority has always been the same thing, that's stormwater drainage. I know we have, Lakeshore, for example, that has that problem. Resources have been already allocated for that. But my biggest problem is that we have other parts of the city that have problems, but yet we have no true study of where those areas are. And I know that's gonna cost money, and you know, it's gonna take money just to get an idea of where we're at. So when we do start looking for grants or any kind of assistance, we already know what areas need to be addressed. So my top priority would be stormwater drainage. My second would be the sewer systems. We got a lot of new residents coming in, and I know we're really on top of that. But recently, we've had discussions on these new properties that are getting subdivided, and then we talk about restrictions of having a half acre or more in order to be able to put a septic system in. Well, if the city's not providing sewage to that area, and if that property's not large enough, I mean, that's not much of an option. So the sewer system, we need to look at that and see where we're at, what areas we can reach out to.
So it'd be to advance our sewer, like, to be able to add additional sewer places that don't have it expanded. Okay, got it.
Especially since we're coming up with all these regulations and restrictions. And then Charles brought up the other meeting, the water infrastructure. That's vital. We are having a lot of problems with our mains, our lines. They are becoming aged, and it's something we need to look into. So those would be my top three.
Now, I have a motion on the floor, so I'm looking for a second on the motion. For us to go ahead and have the city administrator go ahead and collect and tabulate for the city. Is that correct? That's the motion? Okay. Do I have a second on this? We got a second? Okay. All right, open up for discussion. Anybody else wants to mention any top priorities? Or you want to wait until you get the email and then send the information in?
You can email them to me within the next week. I've got y'all already written
Well,
down.
send an email out, just so they'll have it, and then they can respond to the topic. So we'll be able to do that. Okay?
So I guess my question would be, we haven't finalized the budget yet. Why are we not trying to incorporate any of this into the budget before it's finalized?
I'm gonna tell you, we have the budget, I believe, today working on it, finalized. We didn't get it done for the budget presentation tonight's meeting, so we're gonna have a special one hopefully next Monday. But it's gonna meet the needs of what we have now, kind of mimic almost what we had last year, and just keep us moving forward. We're not quite there. We need those houses to continue coming in to advance that. Some of the monies will be there when we're getting, impact fees and all that, from the new houses coming in. Again, those are used to just enhance that,
So
sewer
the things that
system.
we already have set up,
Yeah, the funds
the
are already-
inch, the water tower, all that stuff is incorporated, the sewer, the waste.
So, yeah, those are already moving forward, and we've identified how we pay for those through the tax, but I'm talking about the other funds that are coming in, like your impact fees and all that, those go to special funds and they sit kind of in that fund until we identify the next project to do. And that's where as we get more houses, that fund starts to build a little quicker. And we're able to hopefully do more with those.
Anything else, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, to comment on Michael's stormwater drainage thing, we do have the drainage utility fund that is in the process of being established, and that is going to provide for a means to do a citywide master drainage plan. And then from that, the engineers will say, these are the projects that you need to pay for first, and that's how you go out, get a bond, get another certificate of obligation, and that's how we cover that debt.
But a large cost is gonna be upfront, and that's to get that study done. And that utility fund will take a while to develop and at least have monies in it.
I mean, it's based off of, once it gets established, day one, it'll be a monthly recurring thing, like water and
From what I
trash.
understand, we still need that study done, and it's not cheap. It's gonna be quite expensive to study.
The study, well, you're talking about the master drainage plan?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be rolled into it.
Yeah, we could hopefully take out service obligation monies to pay for that and then tag the stormwater utility fund.
I mean, we're gonna have monthly revenue coming in to pay for this.
And my understanding is, based on what the mayor was asking or talking about, was that it allows the city administration to have a focal point. And wherever that may fall in, by having this list, they're gonna be able to say, okay, yeah, this obviously take priority over this item, and so forth,
So we're still gonna have a chance, we'll go ahead and tabulate, and then Matt will come back to the council and go ahead and present, hey, here's, based on the inputs, 1, 2, 3. We'll still have the rest of the list to take a look at. but those are the things that we want to make sure. It might be a clear, everybody agrees, oh yeah, that's 1, 2, and 3, and it's a done deal. You just briefs it and everybody agrees, we all agree. But this is gonna help our staff stay focused on the things that we feel are important for us to go ahead and take care of. Once again, these are things that would be out of budget because we don't have the finances, and he'll help us out based on what we have in there. Okay? All right. Okay, so have a motion, have a second, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you so much, appreciate it, council, we got some good ideas, Matt.
Yes, sir.
And we'll go ahead and send out the email, and please respond if you provided, just go ahead and put them back, just so we can put them in the tabulation. Respond back to them and put that, and I'll do the same on it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 8. This is department reports. Okay, before we jump into this, council, I do want to give you a heads up. Okay, we have an opportunity for us to figure out how we want to do this in the future. I want us to do this and then do the next round in the sense of the second week. Come back on the second meeting and ask the council, do you want to continue doing the things that we need to do, or do we want to go ahead and change it? So here's what, if you noticed on the agenda, you notice that it's a lot more descriptive, and Jesse, thank you to you and Frank for providing the guidance that goes along that. We need to make sure that we actually highlight what is there. It was too broad, it was too general. So we need to get a little bit more specific. But we do have the flexibility in the future, if we want to, we can actually consent to this. In other words, the department heads would send it in, we would send it out. They have to go out on Friday, okay? You would get them, you review them. When we talk about the minutes and do you consent, that's a portion that we would have a chance to go ahead and say, hey, we have some questions, Santi, we have Cassandra, we got a question about this, and we can talk about it. But we do need to post them on the website. They have to go on the website, okay? So there's legal things that we have to do in order for us to be able to do it that way, to be able to take care of it, or we can just keep doing it this way. The second part of this that I want you to take into consideration is it's not only for the benefit, this report is not only for us, but it's also for the public. So I want you to think about, as we go through this, is this something that you feel needs to be briefed and it's on video and people listen to it? Or is it something that people can just go ahead and read on the website because it's actually going to be posted and we consent to it? Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go ahead and go through the presentations, but keep that in mind both for this one and the next one, and then we're going to ask the council which way you want to go, what direction you want to go. Okay.
All right. For the month of July, we had 81 calls for service, set 1 trap, 69 miscellaneous calls, transferred 9 animals out. We intake 11, we had 8 adoptions for the month of July. We had 44 dogs. Well, actually, the numbers kind of down. Both numbers are down on the cats. We have 40 dogs and 15 cats. Now we had 2 adoptions this past weekend. 2 dogs went to SNPs, 7 cats went to Rescue Pet Movement. We had a total of 8 volunteers, a total up to 38 hours. So far, we euthanized this year 7, total animals adopted 34, and 106 transferred out to rescue. Nose Pantry was a big one, 25 from Atascosa, Chief Casserole, the main ones there, Lido, 27 citizens from the Lido area came out for food. And then, like I said, we had to do adoptions and transfers, and thank you to Lynette, Melinda, Lorena for putting them on Facebook and getting them out there, and people coming in always see the animals in there and they come out and adopt them.
How did it go with the event this weekend? You guys had the spade and neuter.
It went good. It went real smooth. Like I said, when we had the adoptions, those 2 go this weekend, we were able to get them in, get them spayed and neutered.
So those were part of the ones that were.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, that's pretty much it. Everything's going pretty good, at the facility. Our new part-time clinic tech, started today. But we had an incident today. She actually got bit on the first day. So, did the whole report, let Matt know. She went to,
You
got
okay?
checked out, she's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big dog, little dog.
Medium size.
Tell you the worst bites are the little ones. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Yeah, it was kind of, it was strange for this dog to do that. So, yeah. So I'm gonna take care of it tomorrow. That's all. Matt talked to me, so.
So is that the first employee checking in or the second?
Well, it's the second, but the first one had a snafu with some medical stuff, so she's gonna start just a little bit later.
Okay.
This is the first one on just the part-timer, correct? The part-time.
So when are we expecting?
I'm
I don't
not-
know,
I'm
still
not
working
sure.
it
Yeah,
out?
still working it out.
Okay, but we got solid hires.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Council?
We're going to.
Okay, where do, complaints about animals go? Do they go into the police department, or they go into your report?
They go into my report, they call,
Yeah, I don't ever see that there.
well, it's pretty much just animal at large. The dogs that I pick up, the intake, that's part of it.
What about nuisance calls?
Really don't get much of a nuisance call.
Really?
Yeah.
But you handle
Yes.
nuisance calls?
Maybe, not a nuisance, just like to check up on the animal.
Well, if I had a neighbor and they had a dog in their yard, a stray, and it was threatening them to come out of their home, who do they call?
Animal control. If it was a stray, we will go pick it up. That's part of the intake of the animal that intake.
So your department would handle it? Okay. And they could call that 24-hour line?
Yes, yeah. If it's an emergency, yes.
The main thing, Santi, is they need to call you from the location they're at. They can't
Yes.
just show up at your, hey, I found this.
Yeah,
Is
like-
that correct?
Yes, we had, one Saturday, we had a call, I got a call from the PD, got a hold of Melinda, the lady said there were 2 dogs in Comine. I don't believe they were in Comine, I believe she brought them from outside the city and said she had been feeding them there. And like I said, I patrol, I don't see dogs, no one's ever called about seeing 2 dogs at the entrance of Comine. And then all of a sudden, she was able to catch these dogs and have them inside her car. So like I said, I can't prove that she brought them out, but I previous days, never had gotten a call about dogs running at large in Comine.
Yeah, because my question was more related to nuisances.
But yeah, they would call our facility. I get a lot of calls, but they're mainly from outside the county.
Council? Yes? All right, thank you, Santi.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. All right, Cassandra, library.
Are you just gonna? Okay. All right, we had 106 computer use. We had a lot of people because everybody was registering the kids for school. So I was gone for a couple of days for vacation, and April said it's just like the revolving door, people just coming in to get registration. And of course, more on the little kids' computers as well. And we had more checkouts, 1,700. Stats went up again. Actually, I think that was actually supposed to be 40 and not 35. And library cards, we had 10, and 34 renewals, April, May, 28 cards. And then we still have story time. The Columbia County mobile unit came out, and they actually did a story time in July. And they did about teeth cleaning, I think it was. I wasn't there when they did it, so. And we're still working on labels. We're almost done with the adult nonfiction. And still off on the first side, we still have a few ladies that don't want to come in the building. And then these are the monthly displays. The first one was just a beach read theme, and that other one, the 4th of July, and then it was grilling and barbecue, and then that bottom one's on parks. And then the last one is sharks. Kids really like that. We have a lot of new shark books, and, I put every shark book we have on the display, and I came back and I'm like, we have all the shark books. They're like, they took them. I'm like, okay, well, that's good, you know, so. And then here's our calendar for the month. That was actually July's. That's it.
Senator, somebody contacted me, and I don't know if they reached out to you, but they were asking about the historical,
We're probably not doing it this year just because of the staffing and all that stuff. He did come to me and I explained to him we're gonna do it next year because we did lose some people with the history there, so we're gonna wait until next year.
Okay.
It's too late. We were supposed to send out in April, and then April was a really hectic month, and then April was out in May, so it was just really crazy. And she's out in part of June, so.
So what are the events that we have for the rest of the year then?
Probably gonna do like a pumpkin carving, or not, a pumpkin decorating contest, and then, we're gonna do a book sale, like on the weekends, when it's cooler, because it's hot, we have people asking, we've been trying to put the cards out there, but it's so hot that those cards are like fire when you go to touch them, we take them back in, that's the only thing, so.
So maybe a book
book
sale or something like that?
Like on the weekend. So, I'm hoping it would be closer to when it's in cooler.
Appreciate it. Council?
So for your book sale, will you take donations?
Yeah, we can take donations. The only thing we don't take is, magazines, college textbooks, and encyclopedias.
Okay. One other question. I had mentioned about the Wi-Fi system. Have you looked into the registration and the sign-in?
No, because I don't know how the Frontera set that up where it's just like that little white thing that's behind you on the wall. And so I don't know how they set it up. It's open for the public to use.
Right, but they would be the one that would let you know how to set that up. Can you look into it?
Yeah, I'll talk to them and see.
Okay, so what I was envisioning, what we had spoke about previously, was to have some type of registration,
Okay.
so they could get to the Wi-Fi system, and then some type of login.
All right, I'll talk
Thank
to
you.
them and see.
Okay.
Chief?
All right. Oh, no, we have public works.
Oh, Public Works. Dang, I was gonna try
We
to.
got James.
Man, I was gonna try to push y'all through that police one really quick, boy. Y'all messed up. That's a
Take
tough
care of
count.
business. Very good, James.
Where you at, Dave?
Thanks, right there.
All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. We did total work orders, 137 last month, 79 in water. We installed 9 new meters, had 2 main breaks, replaced 44 meters. We replaced them with radio reads. And we had 2 leaks we found on the customer side, and we ended up having 22 rereads for water, gas, 9 at the customer's request, and city, 13 from the city. The sewer, we had 2 work orders. We had 2 sewer main stoppages for the month. Miscellaneous work orders 51. We had 17 where we filed gas and water, 16 new customers, no cutoff lists, no reconnection, and miscellaneous work orders 31. That's kind of a chart, what we did. We spent about a week replacing meters. On the man hours, 712 hours, water installation 18, water maintenance 123, sewer maintenance 37, sewer plant maintenance 91, meter reading 120 hours, rereads 11. And that's, it's 60 hours on locates, 12 hours on mowing and shredding, 53 hours on burning brush. That's kind of a chart. Okay, water usage, we're authorized 785 feet. We have to reduce it by 156.03 acre feet. So our new goal is 628.97, and we're at 305. We're about half there, halfway there right now.
So is that with the 40%?
Yes.
See if you go to the next one.
Yeah.
So that, oh, you got it in the next one?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, we're 11 days on our 40%.
So keep in mind, as long as we're in that stage of whatever, that what we're allowed to pump keeps getting smaller and smaller. That and what we're pumping get close really fast.
There's a chart, what we used, what the reduction is and what our current.
So we're literally, I mean, just looking at the bar chart, we're pretty much halfway right now.
Yes,
And this is on calendar year, right?
It's on calendar year, so last year we came really close.
Yeah. So hopefully something happens here in the fall to help us out.
Yeah, hopefully on that, we're going to some cooler months throughout the end of the year, won't have as much watering. I will tell you, I'm gonna work with James. You're probably not gonna see as many new of those radio reads getting installed. We've got the water leaks have really ramped up on us, and we need to go get those fixed ASAP. So they've called in some locates, some that were leaking, created new ones. We've got a project up 2790 that we're trying to find that. I mean, so that's where we're losing a lot of water to. But we're gonna work with our guys to tidy those up really soon and go from there.
All right.
So what happens if we go over the water usage?
If we go over,
We have two options. One is we can lease water from someone else who has excess water, so we can then come back under the threshold, or we have to pay a fine for overpumping. That's why we're out talking about conserve water, try not to water your grass, I'm sorry? We're trying to buy water, so if anybody knows somebody that's got water for sale that you can legally sell, by the acre feet, let us know, but I haven't been able to find anybody, at least anybody reasonable. I can tell you, I've talked to Rosewood, because they've got water rights, and they're talking through their legal, and maybe working on another agreement with them like we did for that water main extension, giving them a credit in lieu of kind of thing maybe. But, so, we'll see. We got a bunch of fillers out there, but no bites yet.
yeah, that's what we're trying to do is get some of the subdivisions to use what they already have in the water.
And they have. The good news is some of the bigger water, like the Frontage Road project, all those construction companies are ramping back down. So our water pumping should hopefully come back down. The problem is everybody watering the grass. And not so much watering your grass, you can water your grass, stay within the requirements of stage 4, but it's the wasting of water where you water it and it's running out of your yard, down the road, 5 city blocks and boom. That's a waste of water. That's why it's on us to also fix our leaks. Because yes, we do have leaks that you drive by and you see water running down the road or sitting in the bar ditch. I met with James this morning, and I know he hates me because I'm always like water leaks, water leaks, water leaks. But to me, that's our priority. Water leaks, sewage, keep our system running. I know radio reads are important, we gotta get those in too, but when we're bleeding the water out, to me, that's a bigger priority than the radio.
Well, we've taken some good ones, we've taken care of some good ones.
We have taken care of some good ones, but today I found one that we've got we think it's a second leak, right? That is worse. Out by the animal shelter now, you can see it running through the bar ditch.
We found 2 of them on Rosewood, where they had moved the line. We fixed 2 of them one Saturday and one today. And that's the service line, that's before the meter. They were just, it was in a grassy area, we didn't know about it, we got calls on low water pressure, and that's how we do it.
We just need to communicate.
Right. I've talked to the engineers at Rosewood, they're gonna get some directions from their people they weren't aware, and well, they made game plan with us because they've got their other, where they're extending, they're widening the roads. And there's that one bar ditch on the right, it's still full of water, and we fixed our leak almost 2 weeks ago now, and there's still water standing, so there's another leak. So we need to figure that out and keep moving forward.
It didn't help that they ran a machine down the wet water ditch, that didn't help out. So,
We're afraid that when they put the machine in the bar ditch, not knowing that it was full of water that it had been leaking for 3+ years in there. So when they put that machine in there, there's possibility, just push that line on top of all the rocks, or the rocks on top of the line that we have the issue with on that line all day long. So I'm gonna say that was kind of a 50-50 one there with us. We should have, but we're gonna keep moving us, and it may, I'll talk with the net, what we have in finance and overtime, I don't know. We're gonna see.
Cool. Council, anything?
Yeah, Mayor, I know I'm out of line on this, but on accepting the reports by the departments, you missed out on this information. This open the live questions. I said, I know that's not what we're doing right now. I need to put that on. Thank you, James.
Appreciate it. Thanks, James. And thank you for tackling. It'll be good. All right, anybody else? I'm sorry.
Richard?
Okay. Here we go. Richie.
I can do it for you if you want.
I
Any
can't miss
questions?
this. You have to have a little bit of research.
Who was it? It was.
You got to. You
Who
have
was
to.
it? Was it David? Who was it that came in here? Yeah.
They don't talk near as long. They got like, I'm working on getting them to draw things out. I said, pretend you get paid by the minute when you talk, and then it makes them talk for a moment. So to give you an update, the reason I've been in and out, Medina County had a pursuit, and our guys were out on the road, because, you know, we hate them, it's on Main Street, so we don't want a lot of potential for accidents. So our guys intercept, anyway, the vehicle went down on Gray Street, he bailed out, he fled on Martin Street, went through Tammy McDonald's yard, climbed the fence, and we thought we lost him over there. You know, and then when I got back over here, then a couple of West Coast guys and our two guys, they found him over there in George Harris's office, big buildings he's got over there behind Mike Camille. So he was taken into custody. He did have a firearm, but I think he had left it in the vehicle when he fled on foot, you know, so stolen vehicle, not sure. Anyway, just that's what the
So
action
no
was.
accidents and.
No accidents, no threat to the public this time. That's what I was doing, is texting some people that live over there that I talked to, so they kind
So
of
there's
know.
property damage?
I don't know, but I didn't get to make it that far because the guy was, but I didn't hear anything that interesting. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff we deal with. The guys were out there and they climbed a lot of fences. I got cut up a little, I turned around, no, I didn't turn. I went over some barbed wire fences. I hadn't done that in a while, but anyway.
Rich?
Yeah, well, it was, I wasn't dressed for it, you know, I hope it didn't tear.
Do we have body cam on that?
No, I didn't have mine on. Anthony's got his.
I want to see the
He
body
would've got
cam
it.
on there.
Anthony would have seen it. So, we'll go with the start with the report. I guess that you're gonna be able to move it, or you want me to move it?
Linker's here somewhere.
Just do it for him.
Okay.
Just do it for him, just next.
So, is that the very first, is that the first page? Okay, that's first page, or next page. Nothing there out of the ordinary, you can go to the next one, just basic stuff, typical numbers, nothing there, typical numbers. 475 page, what's the big, still speeding, driver's license 62, motor vehicle registration 103. Those were the big ones. No insurance, you know, still a ton of people out there that don't have insurance. I mean, you know, of course, looking at my own insurance at my house, which has, even though I did add a young driver, has probably in the last 5 years tripled, you know. I can understand it's tough to, you know, I think I'm paying $2,800 every 6 months. So anyway, that's not doing what I'm talking about. But anyway, so unless I'm taking up donations, but anyway, you can go to the next page. Racial profile, we can roll on through that. Those are just the basic numbers you can look at. We kind of keep that for our annual. It just helps us do it monthly. Arrest, I think we had a tremendous amount, a lot of warrant arrests. Of course, that theft there, that was the one Roger had out there. What else? Those were the first that one. Just, you know, pretty much your standard type arrest. We had no juveniles, no robberies or aggravated robberies. Phone scams, still getting a few people now and then. Debit card abuse, that's where a guy stole a guy's debit card and went and used it to purchase some money cards or something at burglaries. Let's see, Lava Methodist Church, okay, that happened in July. Guy went in there and got some microphones and a guitar. We did recover 3 of the microphones. We have filed a case on the guy for burglary. So luckily they had a picture, they had a camera, and then you know, we we're able to get the guy we're able to get the guy identified by some people that, you know, were friends of his or something. Can you see what Roger and Anthony have? They're over there with that guy. I hope everything's okay.
They would
Murder vehicle, that was on Main Street, your handgun was missing out of the vehicle. Again, that vehicle was unsecured and all, Methodist Church was unsecured as well. It was probably just a side door left open, so sometimes simple things like locking will deter a person that's just out, you know, looking around. So we try to tell people to, you know, lock everything up. Criminal mischief and graffiti, looking at damaged manhole cover, that was construction deal, they got a bunch of dirt in manhole. We went over there basically just to document that for the public works, that, you know, everything okay? Damaged roll-up door, they tried to get in over there at, the park again, we got that door that rolls up over by the Juan Garcia Pavilion, and, you know, we need to make some adjustments over there that will make that a lot harder for them to push in. They may have already done something. It's about the second, third time that's happened. I don't think they've ever taken anything. Have they ever really, do you remember?
It's the way we're staging the equipment inside there that you can't get in, but you just push the door off and then it's a hassle for us to put it back on.
So
we're gonna look at maybe some kind of, or I don't know, something else we can weld.
Mostly, they're not getting in there, but they, you know, they're gonna cause enough trouble.
Oh, they probably.
They got all the bleach out, poured bleach, and we'll look at that way.
They got to a bottle and opened it.
So they didn't take anything, that's what I was told.
Wayne said, just the bleach.
That's weird. Okay. That's, you know, it's always gonna have your HEBs. Now, we had that big $70,000 piece of equipment taken from out there to the construction site. It was a rental piece. Normally those have GPS on them and what have you. Of course, we didn't find out till a couple of days after, you know, it was happening on the weekend. So, normally they have, GPS on the weekend.
No GPS.
No, incidentally, it's a place out of a rental place out of Laredo, that they were using, so kind of a weird deal. But what you're gonna see is, and when you get these new homes coming in out here in Salary, Salary's not so much now, we've got people living there, but this next one, you're gonna see, you know, an uptick in theft because people, they follow these construction sites because it's an easy way to steal stuff. Plants at HEB, man, I mean, they're long since dead with this heat. I mean, you know, it costs you a lot more money than $155 to keep them alive. HEB, Dollar General, shoplifting, 2 trailer ramps. There's this guy that's on Main Street, and he rented a trailer and they took 2 of his ramps. I told him he should have took them inside, but he didn't pay no attention to me. HEB, that was okay. Found property, damaged phone, okay, let's keep rolling. So with the department head meeting, we had school, Sergio went to a school-based shooting class, Southwest ISD threw on, and let me see, Danny and Gordon went to a DPS class called Interdiction to the Protection of Children, a really good 2-day class over in Pleasanton that DPS put on. And then the guys attended the Lima High School football midnight practice up there, which was just exactly that. They practiced at midnight, and the guys were there to kind of turn the lights on, and, you know, it was kind of a neat deal. Fire marshal, do we want to just do that? I've got another line item on it for fire marshal. Want to do it now, or want to do it on Sunday? Well, I'm asking, you know, I don't want to do that somebody else. So what do we got going here? Let's see, Faith and Joy is what, Matt? Can you remind me what that is? I don't even know. It must have been when I was gone or something, but that's a small, that's the shop down there. It's a shop down there in that portable building north of town. It was that second place they did. Fire inspection, some food truck stuff. Patriot Auto got moved in. Annual fire inspection, another food truck there. Is there anything else in the fire marshal? I know we had some more. Trophy Buck had some construction, and then underground fuel tanks at Roadster. And then we spent, it's not up there, but we spent some time working on a daycare down in Naomi, where Naomi's is. There's a daycare down there, and they had to really do some figuring to make it meet code. But luckily, we used the help of these new code people.
And I need their info so we can afford that cost.
Okay. So anyway, we got that, and so we worked on that quite a bit. let's see, 3 cases filed with the county attorney for 3 people, 2 with Atascosa district attorney for 6 people, 1 and 1, what else we got on there? And that's it with Medina, human resources, what we're going after, we're going to 650, go back one. 615 to 712 is our latest, that'd be 45 hours vacation, 88 hours sick leave, 375 personal, and then 77 vacation, but they can make it up for a lot of those stuff. Next, please. And then 18 and a half hours, our volunteer administrative person, reactor, she's been in and out a little bit with medical stuff, but anyway, she's still already 18 hours. She's helped us with a lot of stuff. Reserve officers, I know we had some in there, but I think there's nothing there. We had Matt work some out. Okay, what else? Anything else on there? Okay, so.
Keep the slides. Any questions on the PD side? Just hang in there.
Is there a lot of dust for gas?
Gas?
You mean like pumps, big pumps, like HEB?
So now they pretty much all, I mean, at least I guess they all make you prepay. If they don't make you prepay, we call them gas drive-off. They used to get them all the time for many years, gas drive-off. But I haven't had a gas drive-off call in a year, a long time. Yeah, I think they're just not turning on the pumps anymore, because you can imagine how many people are at HEB or Stripes, and they just, don't turn on the pumps anymore, because most of the people are paying with a card, or they're going in and getting $10 worth.
Yeah, that's all he said.
Yeah, so they kind of let you, so, yeah, we do not get those calls anymore. Now, when gas gets a little high, you'll get people siphoning gas, but we haven't had any of those either. Now, for every one that they siphon, it gets reported. I mean, most people don't realize unless they just topped off that they're getting gas.
Anything else for ED side? All right, so Richie, this going to move on to Ian. This is a fire marshal report. Can you go back on that slide? So, any questions on this one? No, he has it embedded.
Well, so what I'll do from here on out is I'll just make it separate, because if I've got more time, I mean, I do something fire marshal every day. It's just a matter of trying to, document all his phone calls and stopping by. So it's hard to capture everything. I mean, because one, I told you everything. If I try to sit here and tell you everything I did in one day, it'd amaze you.
Any questions or anything on those?
You don't need 30 slides for the fire department.
Thank you. I'll use that as a guide.
The tube's great, that's perfect.
Got you.
All right, Council, do you have any questions? Thank you, Richie. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Council, let's go ahead and move on to number 9, is the informational items. Go ahead and start on this side.
No, sir.
Good.
Paula?
I'll let council know, we're gonna have to call a special meeting for next Monday. I know it'll kill us at 6:30, so we can present the proposed budget to you. We're trying to get it done, but we couldn't get it done for this meeting. So we've got it done, I think when I have it, probably as good as we're gonna get it. So we're gonna put it in the actual budget format that would get posted on our internet, and then we'll have a special meeting next Monday. We'll post it on Friday.
So, Council, that's on the 21st of August. Okay. And this is, just so you know, for any council members, during this time of the year, just because we're finalizing, we do have pop-ups, stuff like this. But the majority of the months, we actually try to stay within the two meetings out of the month, but got a few things that we need to take care of. So just annotate your calendars. All right. James, anything? Richie? Luke, anything?
No.
No? Civil Air Patrol doing good?
I haven't been a lot this summer, but I'm hoping to get back into it, so it's going good though.
He's running, what do you call it?
Cross country.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, so I've been busy, it's good.
It's good. Anything back there? Nothing at all? Let's see. You got it? Nada? All right. So informational items, things I want to do, just want to go ahead and say special thanks to Public Works for taking care of some of our recent new projects that have popped up, and you guys taking care of it along with those leaks. We've actually taken care of some leaks that have been going for years. So thank you for your dedication and being able to take care of those things. That's awesome. Thanks to PD, whether it's recent sensitive arrests or getting involved with some of the community events, Richie, thank you for you and the crew taking care of that stuff. To the fire department, I know they're not here. They have been busy. We've had a few pop-up brush fires in different places, and they actually have stepped up and helped out, whether it was at the county area or inside the city, or close to the city, being able to take care of that. So kudos to the fire department on doing that. I'll say thanks to the City Hall for taking care of our programs and the budgets with the limited resources. They've been very creative in making sure that we can take care of our things and trying to find the money to go ahead and take care of that. Cassandra, just want to say thanks for your summer reading program, keeping your children active throughout the summer. I got a lot of feedback from the
I
parents.
forgot about that. We had a good turnout considering, last year was only like 10 kids and we had a much better turnout.
Yes, ma'am. I've gotten all that feedback, so kudos to you and your staff on being able to do that. Continue to do that stuff. Thanks to Paula and PD for supporting our ISD. Your crew going out there with a convocation that worked out really good. A lot of great feedback from our teachers and the involvement on there. I do want to publicly thank Zion Soto and Gracie for a great haircut event. We had 110 kids that were taken care of. So we weren't expecting that much. That was a lot. And they're already excited, and they already have other barbers from the area that already volunteered. They want to make it even bigger for next year. So that was a great thing that they did. Do want to remind folks that the Shops of Lidls are up and running. They've actually reestablished and started doing market days, and that's on the second Saturday. But they're still bringing in more vendors, but they're actually opening up the doors and taking care of that. Reminder that we have the outreach fair and the farmers market this Thursday, the 17th. Okay, please pass the word around that folks know. We're going to have the food bank that is going to be giving $50 food vouchers, which in turn you go outside, and these are farmers that are from the local area that are going to have vegetables, and you can go ahead and get that. Along with you get this cool looking bag. Everybody goes for the bags, it seems, but it's a great program that is available. The majority of the people qualify. There are some eligibility things, but almost everybody that goes, they qualify for that.
Do you have the hours for
That's from 10 to 2.
10 to 2?
Yeah, but I would recommend getting there 10 to 12 because they had to shut down early. They were running out of stuff. This is at the community center. Yeah, community center. We do have it on Facebook. We got it on Twitter out there. So please.
They are having the senior luncheon.
And that's the next thing. Yeah. So Paola on that day is having the luncheon. Paola, thank you for putting it in the newspaper too. Thank you, Divine News, for helping us out with that. So good opportunity if we have any seniors, that we can go ahead and take care of. It's been a good turnout, and they have an activity. We do it at the same time so they can actually eat, and they walk over, and they can ask questions about all these programs that are available to help them out. So great chance to go ahead and do that. Update on the TxDOT, everything. I tell you, this phase, they were spot on. They literally opened when they were supposed to. We didn't have a hiccup that morning where a contractor came in and closed it down. Richie, thank you for helping us out with that. But it was, the right hand not talking to the left hand. But it's been open, and they've been doing what they need to do. It seems like they already did a lot of the cosmetic, the railing, the concrete stuff. So there might be some small little one-lane closures, but you're still going to have thoroughfare that goes through that. They're supposed to be striping this week. So you'll notice more vehicles out there striping the lanes and doing the things that need to be done. There's still a little bit more work to be done, especially around the ditch area. So stay tuned with that, but they might have flaggers from this point on. They don't anticipate any more closures right now. So we're getting closer. Hopefully we get that done sooner or later. And then the one right in here, they're still playing around with the lights. Oh, let me go back to the one in the frontage road. We're still waiting the contractor to bore underneath and connect the two sides because the line got torn. There's a line that communicates to the lights, so they're still in sequence. So they still need to fix that, and they still need to finish here. Please tell residents just to be patient. Sometimes it gets backed up. They're still working on these. Plus, we're still waiting for them to put the additional lane in here. We don't know when that's gonna happen, but I would assume it's gonna happen in the fall here, within the next month or two. I wouldn't be surprised if they just show up. We'll coordinate, we'll get the information on that. Want to go ahead and pass on some prayers for families. You know, the Garcias with Yolanda, the Aguinagas and the Riveras with Angel. And PD, thank you so much for all your help and taking care of the folks. The Bakers with Dorothy too. So we've lost some great folks in our community. And I appreciate everybody helping out and taking care of the family. Do you want to go ahead and put some special prayers for your dad, Charles, and just let him know that we're actually thinking about him, okay? And appreciate, just pass it on to him, let him know. Birthdays.
You can stop by and talk to him, Mary's he's home.
He's home? Okay. Okay, so he's home. Appreciate that. We will do that. Birthdays, we got a special birthday. We actually had a 90-year-old here recently. So Augie May, Alga May, depending, but great family, had an opportunity, 90 years old. I do want to remind the council and everybody, anybody turning that is 90, please get with Paola. Paola has a script that she actually sends out, fill out the blanks and stuff like that, and we get an opportunity to recognize. We've been doing this for years. It's a great way to go ahead and recognize folks that are turning 90. We'll do it again at 100 too, and we've done that too. But please get with Paola. So if you know anybody getting close to that, give us a heads up. At least maybe about 2 weeks out? 2 weeks out, work with Paola so we can go ahead and get them recognized. And we can pass the information to Divine News too. They love highlighting their citizens, so appreciate you doing that. I really do.
James is getting close, I think.
James.
I'll take mine early.
Yeah, good years early. Be able to do that. All right. Chris, let's see, Public Works on the 5th of August. It was his birthday. We had Luis, actually, he was here. He was on the 13th, so just here recently. But we also have somebody on the 16th of August that is having her birthday. So I'm going to be able to highlight Paola.
Okay,
I think this year she gets the special insurance discount that goes along with that. She's turning 25. She's turning your discount. So we'll just go ahead and if y'all can join me, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paola. Cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Happy birthday. All the best. And Paola, is it okay? Follow the tradition? Oh, you want this?
No, this is really the best idea you ever came up
Every
with.
idea. Richie loves birthdays, He gets a Scooby snack. Luke, he doesn't share with you?
No, not usually. Unless he's deciding to go on a diet that day.
So, you need to be quiet, not speak with all.
Oh my goodness. All right, council, anything else that we need to share? Last minute? Nope. All right, we're gonna go ahead and, and one other thing. Please support our Pirates. Lots of things happening here in the next few weeks, so please, whether it's volleyball or football, cheerleaders, our band, everybody, our cross-country folks, be out there. Please support them. They need all of our support. Okay, with that in mind, can I get a motion? It's 9:20 for us to go ahead and adjourn. Yep, got a motion. Second one. Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great evening.